Welcome back to College Football Saturday, presented by Kyocera. It's number 23 Oregon State and number 18 USC. The Trojans are 2-1. The Beavers are 4-0. And there is Pete Carroll. You see his record at USC. He started 1-4 last year. Then his team won 5 of their last 7. They have started well. He says this is a solid team that has a chance to be very, very good. And then, of course, on the other side, Dennis Erickson won 2 national championships at the University of Miami. This is his 4th year at Oregon State, and as they say in Corvallis, he has raised the Titanic. This was a terrible team for 2 decades, and they are very good right now.
And Steve, I think one of the reasons both head coaches feel so good about their teams, it's the depth and also the team speed that each team possesses.
It will be Ryan Killeen to kick off. Terrell Roberts and Eric Williams are back deep. USC won the toss. They deferred to the second half, and here is Killeen's kickoff. Returnable. Eric Williams, USC special teams, marvelous to open this ball game. They stuffed OSU at the 12-yard line. Let's check out the Kyocera starting lineup. The big kid, Derek Anderson from Scappoose, Oregon, 6'6", 240 pounds. Look at that. 15 touchdowns to 1 interception. James Newsom is his go-to guy, but Kenny Farley is a sprinter. Steven Jackson, 227 yards rushing, and this is a good, experienced offensive line. Lee Davis goes 307. Mike Kuykendall is huge at 300 pounds as well. And the catch is made on the first play of the game by Derek Anderson, throwing to wide receiver Shaun. It's a first down near the 30-yard line. USC defensively, they have a marvelous defensive line led by tackles Patterson and Cody. Kenechi Udeze was a freshman All-American last year. The linebackers, Mike Pollard in the middle. Grudegood will be all over the place. And Melvin Williams, they call him champ for a reason. Troy Polamalu is the All-American strong safety, a senior, a huge hitter. And this is Steven Jackson. He will lose 5 yards on the play. It's Grudegood, the kid from Mater Dei High School in Santa Ana, and we told you he'll be all over the place.
Well, Grudegood did a great job this time, Steve. He actually stuck to his responsibility, which is play any cutback and play any reverse. And right there, Steven Jackson reversing his field, trying to find something going there. Grudegood doing a great job coming up and making a sure tackle.
Now 2nd down and 15. Double tight end. Anderson fires. It is incomplete. He was hit as he threw. It'll be 3rd and 15. The intended receiver was James Newsom, the junior from Stockton, California.
Well, and if you're Pete Carroll, you know you have a young quarterback. Pete Carroll, of course, doubling as a defensive coordinator for the Trojans. He's going to bring a lot of pressure often on young Derek Anderson. Derek Anderson talking to Tim Lopano, the offensive coordinator, before the game, Steve. His eyes got a little big last week in their game, and your eyes will get real big with 3rd and 15 facing a tough defense.
This is a great matchup with the #1 offense in the Pac-10 against the #1 defense. Anderson stepping up, firing, incomplete. Will there be a flag? No, I thought the defensive back DeShaun Hill may have hit him early, but Kenny Farley, no flag, and a punting situation for OSU.
Well, the timing by DeShaun Hill, he's back playing middle third, but he comes up. I thought he came through a little early as well, coming over the back of Kenny Farley. But right there, you know what showed me something about Derek Anderson, Steve? Great patience in the pocket. He didn't get rattled, although they didn't blitz. They only rushed 4 and dropped 7.
So Carl Tobey will be punting to Greg Carlson, not Kareem Kelly. Carlson back at his 27. Kelly's one of the best in the conference, but he will just play at wide receiver at least to start this ball game. We have a timeout on the field. Scoreless ball game. When we come back, USC will have the football for the first time. The Doheny Library on the campus of the University of Southern California. The Trojans have the football for their first possession, and they give it to Sultan McCullough. He will get nothing, stuffed by Eric Manning. Let's check out our Kyocera starting lineup. You have Carson Palmer as the quarterback. the 6'6" senior from Santa Margarita High School in Southern California. He's thrown for over 700 yards this year. McCullough is a dynamic back, but watch for McKenzie out of the backfield catching passes. His go-to guy is Kerry Colbert. 2nd down and 9 after a gain of 1 by McCullough. They will run McCullough again, a very short game up near the 38-yard line. USC's offensive line is much improved. They gave up almost over 40 sacks last year. They have allowed only 3 on Carson Palmer this year. And Jacob Rogers is one of their best at 6'6", 305.
And Steve, that was one of the things Carson Palmer pointed to yesterday was really the progress that offensive line made. Right now, Carson Palmer with great field position. You got to take advantage of a relatively short 3rd down.
And Palmer looking right, back left. There's the protection by the offensive line we talked about. Now he fires, and it is incomplete, but Mike Williams was hit early, but was already out of bounds. No flag. So it is 3 and out for USC, and this was an offense, Rams, that went 3 and out 7 times last week in a loss to Kansas State.
Yeah, they had some struggles last week in Manhattan, but you know what? They're like a lot of teams. A lot of teams are going to have problems in Manhattan, and that's just the way it goes on the national scene. But I think it was good preparation for this game because Oregon State loves to fly around.
Parody, brother. How about Florida State at Louisville this week? Now the punt. Back for the return is Terrell Roberts. He will let it go, and again, poor field position for Oregon State on their 2nd possession. This fall, get your NFL fix a day earlier with the most outrageous, unpredictable NFL pregame show you have ever seen. Introducing the NFL show on Fox Sports Net with Michael Irvin, Tony Siragusa, and comedian Tommy Davidson. Pregame shows may never be the same, so start your NFL weekend the night before kickoff with the NFL show presented by the U.S. Postal Service. That's the NFL show on Fox Sports Net. Tom Malone with a 49-yard brilliant punt, pinning Oregon State back at their 13. Now Anderson, play action. Had his man open, James Newsom, and Newsom, if he caught it, might still be running about 45 yards. Now the series history is incredibly favoring the Trojans. They've won 27 of their last 28 meetings, but the Beavers got them 2 years ago. In the season they won 11-1 and beat Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl. 1960, the last year they were victorious in LA.
Well, and the caveat there to that graphic is last year in Los Angeles, a battle that went into overtime with a USC victory 16-13, but expect the same today.
3 wide receivers to the left side, but they throw to the right. It is incomplete. And I'll tell you this, Rams, I think Derek Anderson is a marvelous quarterback, but he has not seen this kind of defensive pressure this year.
Steve, a great point. He didn't set his feet that time, but we know he's going to get a lot of heat, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. One of the things I mentioned to their offensive coordinator before the game, I'm watching a lot of film yesterday, and I noticed his feet last week didn't really get settled in. And I'll tell you, when you start making throws down the field, you got to settle in, relax, stay patient, because they'll come open. You just have to have time to throw the ball down the field.
That's why Pete Carroll said the key was hitting Anderson as many times as possible in this game. Newsom had it in his hands for a 1st down and may have had 10 more, but it's incomplete, and now OSU will punt.
Well, going to their most sure-handed receiver, James Newsom, and just the defender fell down too. Number 24, Justin Wyatt, the true freshman corner out there on an island against the experienced Newsom, and just unable to come down with the ball.
Now Carl Tobey will punt again to Greg Carlson, excuse me.
Nice short punt.
And Carlson takes it. And he is down to the 41-yard line, so excellent field position for USC on their 2nd possession. A 36-yard punt, a 10-yard return.
Just a great job by Carlson that time, Steve, fielding the punt, because you end up safe by not letting the ball hit the ground. You pick up that yard or 2 or 10, and then he returns at 10. I mean, plus 40-yard line to open this game.
That halo violation has some tacklers a little timid. Now Carson Palmer, his second drive, he was 3 and out on the first. Play action pass, dumps it to the tight end. Alex Holmes. Holmes past the 35-yard line and is finally dragged down by 3 Oregon State defenders. .5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Oregon State's defense, Edwards and Manning are outstanding tackles. Swancutt and Noah Happy are the ends. The linebackers, Richard Siegler has 30 tackles this year, but they say Nick Barnett is playing the best. And the cornerbacks Weathersby and Roberts are great man cover defenders. USC running and slamming forward is Justin Fargas. We've been waiting to watch this number 25 for USC. He is a load. He was an All-American high school player here in Southern California. Went through Michigan to come back here.
Well, you got to remember, Justin Fargas, one of the top recruits to come out of Southern California. He just so happened to come out the same time another pretty good running back was coming out, DeShaun Foster. Foster ended up at UCLA, now with the Carolina Panthers. High draft pick in the NFL. And Fargas, having gone to Michigan and transferring back to his roots in SoCal.
And this is a team that wants to establish the run. They'll go back to Fargas, and he is stuffed by Mitch Musin, the free safety, who came up and read it beautifully.
And how huge a play is that for Oregon State and their defense? Mitch Musin, the big, strong safety, 6'3", 205-pounder. Watch him just come and just hammer the running back. And, boy, that puts Pete Carroll in a quandary. Musin, 211-pounder. He put on a couple extra pounds. He had an extra cheeseburger. But I'll tell you what, this is tough because last week they've had problems in their kicking game, and now you know why they're going for it on 4th down.
4th and 1. Fargas remains the lone setback. He'll try Justin again. Not much there, and they did not get it. Oregon State, it was Dewan Edwards, number 98, 99. Eric Manning taking on everybody and stuffing Justin Fargas.
Steve, it all happens right in the pit, right in the middle of that defense. The Oregon State defensive tackles just stepped up. Manning, Edwards, those guys just put the stuff. And I mean, it's just at the point of attack. The USC offensive line never got a surge. They never got a surge. They never attacked the man in front of them. And Oregon State just dominated the line of scrimmage. They turned the ball over on downs.
So this time 4 and out for USC, and now double tight end look by Oregon State. They'll run Steven Jackson. He breaks free past the 35-yard line out near the 38. Steven Jackson goes 6'1", 224, and I'm sorry, he's not 6'1", 224. He's at least 6'3", 230. He is a big man, and he averages 6 yards per carry.
Yeah, over 500 yards and a great average. He went for 100 last year against USC, his first 100-yard game of his career, and he didn't even start the game. Kenny Simonton did.
119 last year. Now a first down by Oregon State, still on his feet, running that football is tight end Tim Ewis, and he has a first down inside USC territory at the 32-yard line.
This is one of the things Oregon State does so well. Okay, they start their run game. Now all of a sudden they fake counter, boot off it. Okay, they got a guy down the field to throw a block for big tight end Ewis. Look at him go. That guy, 250-pound Ewis. Good, steady receiver, giving Anderson a nice target to throw to.
Oregon State's averaging 500 yards total offense this year. Now they'll go to Kintner. He was not open. Great coverage by Darrell Rideau, who is their fastest cornerback.
But Steve, right there, that's what we talked about early in this broadcast, was they're going to take some shots deep. They didn't have the guy matched up they wanted to against one of the fastest guys at USC, Rideau, but Kintner is more of a kind of a move guy. They ended up getting a read. He ended up adjusting the route, getting up the field. I like, though, the fact that Oregon State is taking some shots early deep.
They are a big play offense. I mean, they already have 19 plays over 25 yards in just 4 games this year.
Empty backfield.
Anderson firing, completing the pass to Newsom at the 25-yard line. James Newsom, who came in with 22 catches and 5 touchdowns. I mean, this is an Oregon State team that is on a 4-game win streak, opening with victories over Eastern Kentucky, Temple, UNLV, and Fresno State.
Hey, Steve, watch the protection, though. All of a sudden, they go empty backfield. How do you neutralize a good defense? You spread them out. Spread them out all over the field, and I like what they did. Just empty it and see what happens.
Let's see if they run Jackson here. They will. And he is stuck beautifully by Patterson, by Cody, by Pollard. It's a college football Saturday presented by Kyocera here at the Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles. Steve Physiok, Tom Ramsey, Lewis Johnson. It is Oregon State at 4-0 and USC at 2-1. And now a field goal attempt of 42 yards by Killeen. It is on the way and it is wide, no good. They had Seska with the field goal attempt after going with Killeen on field goals inside of 45.
One company brings new value to the
Scoreless in the first quarter with Oregon State at USC. Last year, Ryan Seska had a confidence problem, so they were going with Kirk Killeen and Ryan Seska. They choose Seska, and he misses from 42.
Steve, kicking game is crucial in a tight contest like this. It came down to some kicks last year. Hopefully, for both teams, it doesn't come down to kicks this year.
Now Carson Palmer running out of bounds, and he was shoved out by Eric Tuma. And you can go online and answer this question: should college football players be paid? To vote, log on to foxsports.com on Lycos. We're at the Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles. USC. A lot of alums are wondering which USC we will see today. The one who scored 40 against Colorado, or the one that didn't score an offensive touchdown into the fourth quarter at Kansas State. Now Sultan McCullough, and a short gain past the 25-yard line, and one more time it'll be 3rd and long.
You know, Steve, I was talking to Craig Bray, the defensive coordinator, before the game. Watch Musin come up, and he's just going to end up stuffing the run, but watch his action right at the line of scrimmage. He reverse shoulders a fullback, bang, ends up staying with it, turns the play in, and all his buddies help make the tackle. I mean, that's a great play by a strong safety.
Kerry Colbert wide to the left side. You see their conversions on 3rd downs down this year to 32%. Palmer. And Kelly was shoved out of bounds. There's the flag. It will go against Oregon State.
You know, Steve, a moment ago we saw the safeties, and you're saying to me he's a free safety. Well, actually, they invert their safeties. They always play 4 across, so you're a free and a strong in this defense. But great play up the sideline. They're trying to get Kelly released outside. Nice call there.
But you were saying Houston
on the defense before the ball was passed. It's 10 yards from their previous spot and an automatic 1st down.
And USC has their first down conversion of a 3rd down in this ball game.
What I'm saying is this: in Craig Bray's defense, all 4 players play a flat 4 across. It's a disguised coverage. So now the corners can play bump sometimes, they can play back sometimes, but the safeties can invert, meaning essentially one guy can become a free safety or a strong safety depending on the flow of the ball.
They just have to be smart players. And Houston is.
That's right. That's right. Recognition is key.
And they said the same thing about Lawrence Turner. Turner's listed as the strong safety, but he can become a free safety, is what you're talking about, defending on the USC personnel.
Well, and they have depth too. Remember the strong safety from a year ago, Calvin Carlisle. He's played a lot of games and a lot of snaps on defense. He can come in at any time, spell either of those guys, and plus he can play man-to-man on any slot receiver. He's a great man-to-man defender.
Terrell Roberts will be man coverage on Kerry Colbert. There's a bootleg. Palmer trying to get free. He does escape for a short gain. And last year, when USC played Oregon State and beat them 16-13, they ran the bootleg an unbelievable 10 times.
And Steve, you talk about the pressure. Look at what K-State did last week. They brought the hammer repeatedly and just disrupted his timing. What USC's doing a lot right now, they're moving the launch point in the backfield. They don't want Carson Palmer to line up right behind center. But right there, Kansas State really brought it to Southern Cal a week ago.
3rd and 9. Play action pass. Manning pursuit. No flag down because Palmer was throwing it away after he was absolutely drilled by Eric Manning.
Great
and
play.
This is a guy who defensive coordinator Craig Bray said can dominate, but he has to prove he will.
Manning's right, ends up right in the middle, chasing Carson Palmer, and Manning's a local product out of Compton, Dominguez High School. Not far away, got passed up by the USC Trojans, and I tell you, that's the incentive that Dennis Erickson said for his guys this week. I say, you know, you and I had him on the phone. Hey, coach, what's the biggest incentive? Hey, biggest incentive is these guys are going home.
And now a flag goes a-flying. Jermaine Jackson's a tight end for Oregon State, and he was asked why he went to Oregon State, and he said, because at least once a year I can go home and beat UCLA and beat USC. That was why he went to Oregon State. There's Eric Manning and Dwan Edwards.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, 5 yards, previous spot, repeat, 4th down.
Pete Carroll says no way. Pete Carroll loves his football team. He says they are solid with a chance to be really good. He said his expectations are so high that he never looks for stages along the way. He says if the expectations of the alums, fans, and our boosters were higher than mine, then I would be disappointed in me. He thinks this team can be very good. Here's the punt away.
Almost blocked it.
Roberts at his 20. And Terrell finally hauled down to the 25-yard line. There will be a flag down, and it might be the halo violation.
Steve, watch it. They got to stay within 2 yards. That's not staying outside that 2-yard ring at all. And boy, I tell you, yeah. No wonder the flag came out so quick.
It was Sandy Fletcher. There's Greg Newhouse, the linebackers coach. Sandy Fletcher has played cornerback, safety, wide receiver this week, and also a special teams player.
Interference on the kicking team. It's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. 1st down.
And they've changed that rule this year. I mean, all of a sudden, it's a 10-yard penalty. It's a field position game.
The big defensive tackles are been after Carson Palmer early today. A warm, humid afternoon in Southern California. We're at the LA Memorial Coliseum. Steve Physiak, Tom Ramsey, Lewis Johnson on the sideline. Chris Rose, Artie Gigantino, Kellen Winslow are here. We've got the halftime crew. Carson Palmer's trying to figure out an Oregon State defense that plays simple and they play fast. And here goes Derek Anderson trying to sprint out. Something went wrong there, and he'll lose about 6 yards on the play.
Oh, and he got hammered. Steve, I'll tell you what's going right and wrong right now. The 2 best defenses in the Pac-10 by numbers. So far, FC's run 12 plays. They've only gained 15 yards. Derek Anderson, this is not what you want to be doing against these guys.
No, we saw Carson Palmer run to that side of the football field up in Oregon, and he suffered a broken collarbone. Matt Grudegood is the linebacker. This is a guy who is undersized at 5'11", 205, but Pete Carroll said he is so smart on the field. He's just always around the football. Now Oregon State spreads him out. A 5-man rush. They blitz. Anderson throws, and it is almost intercepted. The blitz man was Marcel Allman, the nickel defensive back, Tom, and he was hitting Anderson as he threw.
Well, he came off the edge, and it really wasn't any kind of a max blitz. They just flat out missed him off the edge. Look, I mean, he just comes off unblocked and drills Anderson in the back. And Marcel Allman, he's played both sides of the ball while at Southern Cal as well. He's been a wide receiver and a DB. Looks to me like he's understanding the 30 career catches as a wideout, understanding DB pretty well too.
Anderson just 3 for 10, and there he goes again. He's 3 for 11, a kid who came in at 63%, but he has not seen this kind of defense yet.
Yeah, coming in at 63%, averaging over 300 yards passing a game. But you got to remember, he's a young guy. The pass, the pocket just breaks down. Just flat out breaks down around him. And big BKU right there. Kenechi Udeze. They call him Big Kenechi Udeze. Oh.
Now Toby for the punt. Carlson lets it fall inside the 15-yard line. There is a flag down near the 30. 68 yards on a heck of a punt by Carl Toby. That's his career best.
And Steve, football is full of shifts of momentum, and it's how you really adjust to these momentum shifts, because you're going to have good things happen, bad things happen, but right there Toby just hammered the punt. Now there's a hold on the Trojans, but I mean, Toby, that's a huge punt. Oregon State's kind of been stuck down in their own end. SC to come away with as few yards with having the field position they've had. Ouch.
And no points. The only attempt was the field goal attempt by Ryan Seska, and he missed it.
Holding on the return team. The foul was during the kick. It'll be enforced at the post-scrimmage kick enforcement spot, which is the end of the kick, half the distance, first down.
So 68 yards plus 15. That is 83 yards of a difference.
And there's a train wreck in the middle of the field, so I'm sure that's where the flag came out. When all of a sudden guys are running their fastest, and all of a sudden there's a big pile of guys, and the flag comes from the back judge, you can bet something happened. This guy tackled him,
man,
took him down, jumped off the top turnbuckle on him.
And don't you think Dennis Erickson will take this? He had the football at his own 25, and now they've got it at their 6. That's a heck of a special teams play. And he says, our special teams, we don't do anything fancy. We just try and play it well. Vargas on the short run. Justin's hard to get down, and he finally is tackled by Terrell Roberts and company. This October will be filled with spellbound days and mystical nights as sports' biggest month comes to Fox. Baseball's division series kicks off up to 125 hours of October's magical matchup with thrilling NFL showdowns and exciting baseball playoff action. The network will broadcast more sports in a single month this year. Magical matchups begin October 1st only on Fox. Second down, 9 yards to go. Carson Palmer needs some protection. Play action pass. Going deep. Looking for Kareem Kelly. And broken up beautifully by Dennis Weathersby.
Love the call. Love the call. I think you have to go after Dennis Weathersby, one of the best corners in the country. But you got Kareem Kelly. This kid has won a California State High School 100-meter dash before. There's 3 guys on USC's team that's done that, which is a pretty phenomenal feat. Daryl Rideau, Kareem Kelly, and Sultan McCullough. All 3 have won the California State High School 100-meter. I mean, that's a little team speed. 3rd and 9.
But Weathersby, you have to admire the way he stayed close with those long arms. The great defense. There's Colbert, and what a catch out of bounds for a first down.
Boy, and you know what? That was so close to him being out of bounds, Steve. It was on the near sideline here, but Kerry Colbert, it's not a high percentage throw. Anytime you run a fade up the sideline, this is not a high percentage throw, but Carson Palmer throws a dart. Watch this. And watch Colbert go up for it, comes down, gets 1 foot in. That's all you need. The line judge right there to make the call right on top of it. Of course, the Oregon State coaches were saying he didn't catch it.
Carson says that is his favorite target. He always knows where Kerry will be. And now he throws left side, and it is complete to Big Mike Williams.
Impressive. And again, I'm telling you, these are not high percentage throws, but Carson Palmer's a pretty darn good thrower, I'll tell you. almost 60%, and he throws it a little bit behind Williams. He throws it to his back shoulder. Weathersby never turns his head, never gets an eye on the ball, but Mike Williams, a true freshman. Take a look at his debut against Auburn. 4 catches, 56 yards, and Pete Carroll loves the guy. He says, man, he's got great ball skills.
So USC gets out of terrible field position. Now they're at field, and Palmer's going right back to work. And he finds Terry Colbert, who had a career best game last week in their loss to Kansas State with 11 catches, and continues well against Oregon State.
Colbert, career highs last week, 11 catches, 125 yards, both career highs. But Steve, you know what I thought when SC was backed up a moment ago? I'm like, when is Norm Chow going to spread these guys out and start throwing? The best part of the offense is Carson Palmer throwing the ball. Don't try and run the ball. They've tried to run it. They had trouble running it last year. They were last in the league in rushing. They try to run it today. They're getting stuffed. Spread them out.
They run Vargas off the left side, and it's different from tailback U, where the run set up the pass. Right now, the pass can set up the run.
Yeah, tailback U is history. Okay, it's been history. Don't go back to tailback U. Okay, what you need to do is play tough offense against a very fast defense. And how do you do that? Spread them out. Make them commit. Right there, connected rushing champs. SC over the years, and they got some goose eggs and several. 6 plays, 53 yards this drive.
A first down at the 40. And busting through is Vargas, about a 9-yard gain to the 31-yard line. Barnett on the tackle.
Now, every offense, when you're effective running the ball, it should conceivably help you, run or pass. I mean, if you're effective passing, it'll help you running. If you're effective running, it'll help your pass game. But SC, it's a whole attitude thing up front with the offensive linemen. They've got to come out and strike people under the chin. And right now they're putting together a nice drive. That's what they're doing right now.
Well, this is a great option for Norton Chow's offense. And they will run, and Vargas met at the line of scrimmage. He looks like he's short by about a foot of the first down. Let's go down on the sideline to Lewis Johnson.
Hey, Steve, for Trojan tailback Justin Vargas, his collegiate career has been nothing like his high school days on the field. Vargas ran through the records books with an eraser in front and a permanent marker behind him while he was at Notre Dame High School in Sherman Oaks, California. 6,400 yards, 82 touchdowns. Everybody wanted him. He landed at Michigan. But in September of '98, on this play against Wisconsin, Vargas broke his right tibia, his fibula, lost the rest of that year, has had an injury-plagued career, but he told me before the game, great to be back, but the biggest deal is to play his first game in the Coliseum, Steve.
And he was a bit timid last week. As a matter of fact, he just got smashed by James Lee that time. But we were talking with Pete Carroll about Justin Vargas, and he said he is a highly emotional guy. He is always talking. And he said last week when he went in, he was very quiet. And we said, this isn't Justin. And they said this week in practice, he was getting back to his talkative self.
Well, Steve, this goes to my point a moment ago. They had a 3rd and 1. They got stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Now they've got their second 4th down of the game. Remember earlier, they didn't make it on 4th down.
Palmer will throw and completes the pass at the 26-yard line for a first down to Kareem Kelly. Weathersby with the coverage. Kareem Kelly came into this ball game with 171 career catches. He needed 30 to catch Johnny Morton for all time in USC history, and that's a big 4th down conversion.
And Kareem Kelly is a guy, he's a playmaker. Okay, you got to find ways to get him the ball. I like him. I love his athleticism. His practice habits have been questioned in the past, but you know what? I'm giving the guy, I believe he's turned the corner, and he's a guy that understands, hey, you know what? I'm a senior. I got a great quarterback that's throwing to me. I got to take some leadership. I got to get open. And right there, converting a big 4th down, that's big against this defense.
Quarterbacks, like receivers, they can count on.
That's right.
You had some outstanding receivers you could count on at UCLA, and they led you to All-American status with the Bruins.
Good offensive line, too. But, yeah, guys with glue on their fingertips. Carney, Bergman, Townsell.
Do you know what Arnold Schwarzenegger would say about number 58? It's not a tumor. All right, let's take a look at the non-conference records this year. Oregon State unbeaten. Arizona State is 3-1, and they were mauling Stanford last time we checked. It was like 65-21, a ridiculous score. ASU's coming back this year. California, last time we checked, they were leading Washington State, and Jason Gesser was playing in that game.
Yeah, Gesser had a dislocated rib. That's okay for linebackers to get, Steve, but not quarterbacks. You don't want to be playing with a dislocated rib.
No, it's okay for broadcasters to have dislocated ribs. Linebackers, it even hurts them. Carson Palmer with 6 seconds remaining in the first quarter. 3 wide receivers, 2 to the right side. He throws left. Off of the left hand of Kareem Kelly, and incomplete. Now 2 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
Everything SC's done throwing the ball so far, with the exception of the 4th and 2 to Kelly just on a slant, has been up the sideline. It's just been a quick release, outside release, trying to get the ball kind of on a fade or a stop route right up the sideline. I'm kind of, it looks like Oregon State's doing a great job of reading all the bootlegs. They ran a lot of bootleg last year. You see the numbers on Kelly in terms of career numbers.
2nd and 10. Palmer. Incomplete. In and out of the hands of Kareem Kelly. And that's the end of the first quarter with the score 0-0. You're watching College Football Saturday, presented by Kyocera on Fox Sports Net.
Now
it is 3rd and 10. Palmer looking downfield. Broken up beautifully by Nick Barnett.
Barnett making quite a play. He's kind of the Troy Polamalu of this Oregon State defense. Barnett, the leading tackler in the Pac-10 conference. I think he's equally good against the pass as he is against the run, but the one thing that he does so well is run.
A 43-yard field goal attempt by Tommy Huff. It is on the way, and it is good. USC takes a 3-0 lead. Ryan Killeen.
He did get some yards, and they had a nice mix, but really relied on the pass to get that last first down on 4th and 2. Palmer to Kelly.
So Killeen now for the kickoff, and he will be kicking it deep to Eric Williams and Terrell Roberts. Good kick. And going to one knee is Oregon State. For a Kyocera game break, let's check in with Chris Rose.
All right, guys, just down the road in San Diego, Aztecs and Bruins, Corey Pause finding the big fella, Mike Seidman, 64 yards for the touch. Pause threw for 216 yards and 2 scores. And check this out, Stevie does the old Tom Ramsey, I don't know what that is, the waddle?
Oh, that hurt.
There you go.
I'll get you back, Chris. Don't worry.
Now Derek Anderson, the 6'6", 240-pound sophomore, hands that football off, and muscling his way forward is Steven Jackson. We haven't said Jackson's name much, and here's a guy who ran for 227 yards in their win over Fresno State last week. They only -2 yards rushing.
Look at that.
They came in averaging 183 yards on the ground.
Yeah, and I think that the team that wins this game, Steve, is going to somehow be effective running the ball. Now, maybe not early in the game, but a long game.
Anderson drops the football.
I think SC got it.
It is USC football. Derek just didn't protect the football very well.
Exactly, Steve. He got careless. He got careless with the ball in the pocket, and it looked as though a lineman backed up on him. Take a look. Sure enough, Nazel was the one that created it. Omar Nazel, number 56, pushed the blocker right back on him. Ball came out.
Oregon State and USC meeting at the Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles. Steve Physiok, Tom Ramsey, Lewis Johnson. Oregon State has not won in LA since 1960. Now Carson Palmer had his man open, Mike Williams, at the 6-yard line, and Williams with a drop. He had 4 drops last week against Kansas State that really hurt his team, as Palmer had wide receivers drop passes 8 to 9 times.
Hey, Steve, what's going on? I'm telling you what, Carson Palmer is putting the ball on the money all season long. He's put the ball on the money. The first game against Auburn, put the ball on the money. Against a lot of heat in Manhattan, Kansas, put it on the money. Today, on the money again.
Jacob Rogers is the injured player. He's an offensive tackle, and they're checking with Jacob Rogers. Let's take a look at last year's game. It was an outstanding contest. 16-13 the final score, and USC would win it. There was a block punt by Troy Polamalu, recovered by Steve Stevenson for the touchdown. Jonathan Smith would hit Steven Jackson for the score, and it was 10-10 going to overtime, and Carson Palmer would bootleg around with the score 13-10 after an Oregon State field goal, and this is the game-winning touchdown. USC a winner again, as they now have won 54 games against Oregon State and lost only 8 in their history. Palmer in trouble. He is sacked. He did throw the football.
Yeah, they're going to call him down. It was a sack. Referee right on top of it. The ball came out after he was sacked.
And that's the 4th sack by Bill Swancutt, who rooms with Derek Anderson, who just turned the ball over.
Again, Eric Manning and Swancutt. Boy, that's great pressure. Swancutt really came in doing a nice job. 6'5", 251-pound sophomore. Really had his pad level low, Steve, and that's what allowed him to get back and rush that new offensive tackle for SC.
Now 5 rushing for Oregon State, and the pass incomplete, a little too far for Malifo McKenzie, who was wide open. And if Malifo catches it, he's got a first down.
Yeah, McKenzie's such a weapon out of the backfield. He came into the game 8 receptions, 155 yards, over a 19-yard average, but Carson just flat out missed him. Just missed him.
So on comes Ryan Killeen to attempt a 42-yard field goal. Just inside the goal post. And USC takes a 6-0 lead over Oregon State. They're trying to stay unbeaten and go 5-0 for the first time since 1939. Here's the kick, and on the return, Oregon State. Eric Williams goes down at the 21-yard line. Joining us today, Kellen Winslow and Artie Gigantino. Fellas, what's happening?
Well, you know what, Steve? I tell you, the defense in Kellen, for both teams, like Graham said, is doing a great job of running around and swarming the football.
They're swarming the football, but we've noticed something in our show this morning. I don't believe Oregon State is as fast as a team on grass as they are on AstroTurf. They don't look as swift. The cuts are not as sure. They're having trouble with this grass field.
That's a good point by Kellen, Steve, and the fact that when you play a lot of games on turf, you get used to it.
Here's a guy who can play fast, Steven Jackson, and he busts free past the 40-yard line for a first down to the 43.
What's interesting, one of the mantras of Oregon State is play fast, regardless of the surface. But this guy, like you said, he can hit it. Watch him, a little draw, just takes it right on up the field. And boy, his pad level is low when he gets through the line, and then he really becomes a sprinter. Artie Gigantino was talking about him before the game. I mean, this is a guy who's got a great set of wheels. Look, our camera guy barely keep up with him right there.
21 yards in the run, now 26 in the game for Steven Jackson. And this time, USC is there. Shaun Cody, the defensive tackle, Omar Nazel, and Kenechi Udeze. The ends kind of pinched from the corners, and Jackson had nowhere to go.
He's a tough guy to slow down. He is a tough guy to slow down. He was our Kyocera Player of the Week, Pac-10 Conference player last week against Fresno State. 22 rushes, 227, 2 TDs and 1 75-yarder. I mean, he takes it the distance if he has to.
Now Anderson looking left, incomplete, and boy, that was dangerous. When he overthrew his target, there were 2 red jerseys in the area that could have picked it and gone in for a touchdown.
I don't want to say Anderson has looked rattled, Steve, but you know, I'm talking to Tim Lopano before the game, the offensive coordinator for the Beavers. This is not the easiest stadium to play in, and I don't know if I had, as I played a few games here, didn't win them all.
But remember what Pete Carroll told us yesterday? He said, hit Anderson is one of the keys. It's been a piece of cake for him so far, and they have hit him 3 times. 3rd down and a big 11 yards to go for Derek Anderson. In trouble again, and his arm was struck as he fired forward, and that's the 4th time he's been hit in the game. Look at those characters. That Shaun Cody can play, and Anderson is limping off the field. He told Dennis he was all right.
Boy, he gets racked pretty good because he held his arm all the way off the field. Looks like they got his elbow. Shaun Cody, number 84, just coming. Yeah, sure enough, Cody was the guy. Interior player, great player for the Trojans.
Now Oregon State hammers it, and another fine punt to Greg Carlson. This will go into the end zone. So USC will get it at their own 20-yard line. You see the way they're testing Derek Anderson. When he came off, he immediately told Dennis Erickson, I'm okay, I'm okay. But just in case, they do have Adam Rothenfluh from Fresno, California, who might start warming up. And there he is, Rothenfluh.
And Steve, a moment ago, I mean, the guy bringing the heat, Shaun Cody, number 84, kind of really an unsung hero. He was an All-America, freshman All-America selection by the Sporting News after last season. Really came on strong, had a great game against UCLA and played well against Notre Dame. And really leading that defensive line.
These are 2 very good defenses going at it. This week on Fox NFL Sunday, Emmitt Smith continues his rush at the record book when the Cowboys battle Kurt Warner and a Rams team still looking for their first win, or Michael Strahan and the Giants take on Jake Plummer and the Cardinals. It's this week only on Fox.
Speaking of Jake Plummer, Carson Palmer is going to pass him real soon on this Pac-10 career passing list.
He came in with over 8,600 yards passing, and he goes right back to the air and finds Alex Holmes, his big tight end. Holmes, a great story. I mean, he is one smart lad. He scored over 1,300 on his SAT, 3 times placed first on the national Latin exam. I guess if UCLA beats him, his line would be A2 Bruin.
How do you score 1,300? What do you take it twice?
No, you and I had to. It's our combined SATs.
Exactly.
Oh.
Hey, guess what? Another 3rd down. How about that?
It is 3rd down and 1 after the catch by Alex Holmes. Sultan McCullough. And Carson's going to throw, and he has his man. This is the typical Norm Chow offense. You never know what Norm's going to run.
Well, the typical Norm Chow offense is move the chains. Remember what he told us yesterday? I said, Coach, what do you got to do to be effective? You know, Tom, Steve, we got to be really patient. We got to move the chains. And right there was a great example of that. Real simple throw and catch. You know, nothing crazy, but just you kind of sneak McCullough out in the backfield and make it an easy throw for a real good thrower. And lo and behold, you got 1st down.
He said, Carson, take your time because Oregon State's defense is not going to make it easy on you. Fargas sliding off the right side for maybe 1, but that's all.
Yeah, facing a defense like this, the 1st down chains are not going to be clanging along today for either team. They're going to be faced with a lot of different looks, and I really believe the speed factor of each defense is a little superior to what is on the other side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball. I mean, it's just defensive players, and especially in these schemes where Oregon State tends to keep it a little more simple and let their athletes really just go out and play football.
Now the true freshman Herschel Dennis from Long Beach Poly in the backfield, and Palmer throwing it up for grabs. And Colbert, he almost held on. A flag will be thrown. Gary Colbert, what outstanding hands he has.
Well, the flag came out, but I'm not sure what the flag's for. I mean, Weathersby is going to be the one tagged with it here again. I mean, that's a great play. That's a great, you know what, at the next level, Steve, in the NFL, that's a great play. The flag never comes out on that play. College, yeah.
Pass interference on the defense. The penalty is 15 yards from the previous spot and an automatic first down.
It's a little incidental contact up the field, but Weathersby had his head turned. He got his head around. He knocked the ball away. It's a good play.
Weathersby, one of the best cornerbacks in the Pac-10 conference. He was a freshman All-American, and he is a big physical corner, 6'1", 201, and they say his wingspan is 6 feet 6 inches tall, so he can get his hands up there and knock it down, get a little extra extension. Dennis remains the running back.
And they got Oregon State's defense really spread out right now.
Palmer picked up the blitz, fires it, and it's knocked down by Weathersby again, and a flag will go down because the left arm of Weathersby was around Kelly's side.
Now, I had to laugh at that one because now that is a veteran trick right there. Nice try by Weathersby, but watch it right down here. Watch his left arm come around and hold Kareem Kelly. Kareem Kelly just looks over the side, Judge. He knew it was coming out.
Penalties at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
So that's 2 on Weathersby that have hurt his defense. Oregon State already trailing 6-0 at the 9:20 mark of the first half. Kelly comes out. USC a little injured at the wide receiver spot without Jason Mitchell, a junior wide receiver. Big hole left side, breaking free McCullough, and McCullough will get to about the 38-yard line. Let's see where they mark him out of bounds.
Dennis Weathersby with the tackle.
Two years ago, a marvelous season, almost 1,200 yards rushing, but then he came back last year and only had 410 because of injuries. Second down and 7 yards to go. Meantime, Arizona State humiliated Stanford today, 65-24. Palmer play action with time. Incomplete, and he had Colbert wide open at the 20-yard line. Let's go down to Artie and Kellen.
Mitch Vincent covering for the Beavers.
Kellen, well, this is a great drive so far for USC. Oregon State, a couple penalties, though, has really hurt them.
Well, I'm not sure about the first penalty, Artie. Weathersby playing aggressive football, and officials a little ticky-tack with that. They're not going to call it on the next level, as Ramsey said.
From the all-pro tight ends, he likes to side with the wide receivers and the tight ends.
Now a 3rd and 7. USC's had a tough time converting third downs. Palmer under pressure. Incomplete. Another flag goes down, and this might be against the other cornerback, Terrell Roberts.
That's a late flag too. That's a shame because the ball's overthrown, number one. So it's an uncatchable ball, and as Kellen just said, that is a ticky. You know, that's a ticky tack. Dennis Erickson's going to be hot on that one. Don't blame him. Watch up top. Breaking on the ball and
pass interference on the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
You know, it helped that Kerry Colbert, the receiver, Steve, threw his arms up like, hey, you know, what's going on here? There's a guy who's not really happy.
3 pass interference calls on Dennis Erickson's Oregon State defense on this drive.
Well, Dennis Erickson's teams happen to lead the Pac-10 in penalties, 119 yards a game. So it's not like they're unaccustomed to seeing the yellow hanky out.
They need to force a turnover. That was their key 2 years ago to success. Sultan McCullough, big plays and turnovers. McCullough slamming inside the 20-yard line for about a 5-yard gain.
Steve, one of the things is the running game, when you look at tackle to tackle, they get a lot of momentum here, but you see Sultan McCullough kind of double clutches just a little bit. I just think you have to hit the hole. You got to make it a one-cut offense, a downhill runner. Denver Broncos do it all the time. They go out and get guys, one cut runner, make one cut, get north and south, get up the field, gain some yards. Because if you're double clutching, you're not gaining yards.
Palmer gives it. Mike Williams can't hold on, and that is his second drop, but he was popped by Nick Barnett.
Boy, he was popped. And once again, you know, young freshman players, young players in these games. Derek Anderson's taking a lot of hits for Oregon State. Mike Williams, a true freshman wide receiver, is taking some shots over there. Once again, 3rd and 7 facing the Trojans. Where have they had success? They've had success when they've spread out Oregon State and thrown the ball. You'd expect them to have 3 wides right now, but they got 2 wides, 2 tight ends, and 1 back.
USC, you see Palmer's numbers. They are 2 for 8, converting 3rd downs. Carson with time now at a Rhodes. Somebody's helmet, I think it was McCullough's, came off, and Palmer is sacked back at the 22-yard line. This will make it about a 40-yard field goal.
Noah Happy, Steve, comes off the edge from the defensive end position, and boy, they're getting good play from Happy, 91, and Swan cut number 90. I mean, oh, just a ruthless hit on Palmer from behind. And you know what? There's the look on Noah Happy, but you know what? Palmer does a nice job there. He doesn't throw the ball into traffic. He's not trying to make something crazy happen. Bring on the field goal kicker.
And Ryan Killeen now from 40. He is hit from 43, 42, and he misses from 40. When we return, Chris Rose will have a preview of our Nissan halftime report. Parity in college football. Nebraska not only gets beaten by Iowa State, they get thrashed.
Boy, I tell you, there you look down. I mean, we just look at these scores and shake our head.
State of Iowa is going to be partying tonight. They beat Penn State. They beat Nebraska. They've never done that in the same weekend ever. And down goes Steven Jackson. This USC defense has flat played beautifully. William Buchanan, who is a redshirt freshman, is going to be a special player. He is starting because Ronald Nunn is out for the year. First in total defense, first in pass defense, and they have completely shut down the #1 passing team in the Pac-10 Conference and #3 in college football.
And Steve, I think both head coaches were very realistic coming into this game. Dennis Erickson said, hey, look, Tom, I really don't know how good we are. And Pete Carroll said the same. He goes, you know, they look pretty good, but we'll see.
Falling down was wide receiver George Gillette, but no flag was thrown. Gillette thought he was tripped. And it will be 3rd down and long again for Derek Anderson.
Well, and speaking of William Buchanan, you know, here's a redshirt freshman getting his first start, and here's a guy who's a rangy kid, 6'4", 175, 180 pounds. And talking to Pete Carroll before the game, he's coached great players, some of the best ever. Of course, Buchanan, the son of ex-NFL great Willie Buchanan. But once again, here you have a huge 3rd down facing the young quarterback Anderson.
Blitz on. Anderson rolls away from pressure. He has to throw it away to James Newsom, and Newsom will lose yardage on this play. Now he breaks free, and they've blown the play dead. And Anderson is hurt again. And he has hurt his right arm, and he has hurt now his left leg.
Looks like, yeah, he hurt like his hip or a hip flexor. I mean, he's trying to get out of the way and just tries to hold himself up, and
ouch.
You know, it's one of those, that's a baptism by fire and a welcome to college football. 4-15, 59 yards. Couple drops.
Well, here's the star of the show for Oregon State, Carl Cody. He has blasted several punts today, but that won't get him points. They're down 6-0 because of USC's great defense. Greg Carlson wrapped up. Carlson still going backwards. And they will blow him dead at the 21-yard line. College Football Saturday presented by Kyocera returns to Fox Sports Net next week with the number 2 ranked Oklahoma Sooners taking on Mizzou. Then the 9th ranked Oregon Ducks battle the Arizona Wildcats in a Pac-10 showdown. Coverage begins with the College Football Saturday kickoff show at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, right here on Fox Sports Net. And Rams, that's going to be a challenge for Oregon. Young Jason Fife hasn't had to go on the road very often in their unbeaten start. Now he goes to Arizona. That's a pretty good defense.
Yeah, you know, Steve, I'm just amazed at the competition. You said the parity earlier.
Now USC sending it to Justin Fargas, and he has a good gain up near the 30-yard line. Today's trivia question brought to you by Campbell's Chunky Soup. Chunky Soup. Who was the last quarterback on a Pac-10 champion that wasn't a junior or a senior? You have to go back a long way because it's always been a 4-year quarterback that has been winning championships, and this kid is a 5th-year senior. That's the one thing. Palmer hasn't made many mistakes. And your kid has been through so many offensive coordinators. It was a very sophisticated system under Paul Hackett. And then he gets Norm Chow, and Norm grabs him, and he said, I hadn't even heard of Norm Chow. And I looked at his bio, and I go, wow, this guy has coached a lot of really good quarterbacks like Steve Young and Jim McMahon and Mark Wilson and Gifford Nielsen and Ty Detmer and Robbie Bosco and Philip Rivers then at North Carolina State. You know, I want to be coached by him.
You know what you got to do here, though, Steve? You got to ring the bell. SC got a first down rushing the football.
You're right. And they might get another one with the way Fargas is slamming the middle. Another 7-yard gain.
Fargas is running hard, and that's one of the things he's shown the coaches. He came into the game only rushing for a total of 28 yards. He had a few carries a week ago, but he's a guy who's been hampered by some hamstring injuries and, you know, had the brutal injury while at the University of Michigan. But he's a guy, if he gets untracked, big-bodied guy, I mean 6'1", 210-pounder. He can bring the hammer. They just gotta punch people in the mouth at the line of scrimmage.
Justin said, "This is my last chance, and I want a big season." That may have been Manning jumping off sides, but let's check from the official to see if he was drawn off.
Offsides, defense, 5 yards, previous spot, results, and a first down.
Carson Palmer, a great use of cadence that time, Steve, getting an easy 5 yards. He knows when the defense is wound up, you can get him to jump.
Let's go to Lewis Johnson.
All right, Steve, thanks a lot. A lot of concern for Oregon State quarterback Derek Anderson a few moments ago when he came off the field. He told the trainers that he had rolled his left ankle, so what they did was tape him on the outside of his shoe. They call that spatting. They taped up that left ankle. He's now walking around, just got off the phone, and as far as we know, he's available to go back in.
And now a big play that Oregon State needed. An interception by Trent Bray. He is the defensive coordinator's son.
He's getting coached a little overtime too. He got good coaching in that house, in that Bray household. What he does is read Carson Palmer's eyes. Carson, and really it was we kind of called it. Tony Eason and I used to joke when we were with the Patriots. We used to call that sprout-a-backer. Sprout-a-backer. Just a guy showed up where you never expected him, but Trent Bray right there, redshirt freshman.
Born in Flagstaff, but came from Pullman, where his dad was one of the coaches on Washington State staff under Mike Price. Last time we checked, Washington State had a 3-point lead at California in the third quarter. It is 6-0 here on a pair of Ryan Killeen field goals.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, 5 yards, previous spot, repeat first down.
You know now, remember the Trent Bray recruiting story though, Steve. Bill Doba at Washington State, defensive coordinator up there, he had worked awfully hard at recruiting Trent Bray, and then next thing you know, Craig Bray goes down, help out his buddy Dennis Erickson down in Corvallis, and Trent kind of goes, yeah, that would be kind of fun playing with my dad.
And he joined them in Corvallis, and now they will run Jackson. Big hole opens up. Jackson blast pass. Grudegood, and he's to the 38-yard line. Grudegood just would not let go. It was DeShaun Hill there for the stop. DeShaun Hill Number 5 grabbed him with one hand, and check this out, Rams. He doesn't let him go.
No, but look at the hole. It's you could drive 3 buses through there in a great stiff arm, but credit to Shaun Hill for hanging on and riding him like a bronc rider, and just pulls that big old calf down and throws a rope around him.
Jackson now with 46 yards rushing on 8 carries. Incomplete, intended for Cole Clayson, a sophomore from Portland, Oregon. Boy, that's usually not like Cole. He has outstanding hands.
Clayson's reliable guy. Steve, a lot of drop balls today on both sides, and I don't know if it's the humidity in there. It's a little damp in the air, and sometimes you just don't get that tackiness on your fingertips.
Oregon State number 23 at USC, the 18th team in the nation. Steve Physiak, Tom Ramsey, Lewis Johnson. We've got the whole crew led by Chris Rose today. Here's Jackson lighting up a hole, blasting to the 31. He'll still need another 3 for a first down. They mark him out at the 30. So, Tom, it will be 3rd down and 2.
Steve, the running of Steven Jackson right now is really the difference, especially on this drive. I mean, the offensive line, Ninehouse, Sanchez on the right side, really opening up some huge holes. Oregon State's going to take a timeout here.
They have 3 minutes and 47 seconds remaining. They had 3 timeouts remaining, so why not make sure? Derek Anderson playing with a wounded left ankle with a shoulder that might be a little stiff after he was hit on a throw.
Well, this is a good question here. Your quarterback's a little banged up. What do? You stay on the ground here? Maybe.
Well, let's check out our trivia question and answer. Who is the last quarterback on a Pac-10 champion that wasn't a junior or a senior? Billy Joe Hobart of Washington as a sophomore in 1991, leading the Huskies to not only that, but a national championship.
You know, our ace spotter and stage manager, Crusher Nettles, he was guessing Tommy Maddox, and he kind of had me going that way, but I wasn't sold.
Billy Joe Hobart.
Billy Joe Hobart. How about that?
Oh, yeah! And the 4th-year quarterbacks this year are Carson Palmer, or 5th year Kyle Bowler of Cal. Jason Johnson of Arizona is a 4th-year junior.
Let's go ahead and reach deep into that grab bag. Look at that, 92, 93. Brunel still playing. Jaguars, Wayne Cook. I think he's teaching and coaching. Danny O'Neill, don't know. Plummer, he's making average money out there someplace in Arizona. Ryan Lee, well,
the last few years have been outstanding with Tuiasa Sopo and Joey Harrington, with their ability to lead marvelous 4th-quarter comebacks. The cool of a senior.
Steve, I think you run the ball here.
3rd and 2. They will. It's Jackson right, and there was Shaun Cody again.
And Steve, I may go for it on 4th down here.
Shaun Cody and Kenechi Udeze really stretched the play out.
Great recognition right here. Oh man, they just stack it up. The defense, Kenechi Udeze does a great job. Again, outside contained. He gets to his responsibility, turns the ball back in, and then a whole host of guys, including Shaun Cody, come, who I think is a marvelous player. And Oregon State's going to go for it here on 4th down.
Anderson wants to check sideline and will call a timeout. Too important, and Dennis Erickson a little unhappy as Anderson walked to the line of scrimmage, and I'm not sure if he was looking at the defense he was expecting, and it wasn't there. They were showing a different formation, different set.
3rd timeout.
There's Jonathan Smith, the graduate assistant.
Yeah, Jonathan Smith right there. The record-setting quarterback of a high-powered offense for Oregon State, now a graduate assistant coach. He just got married.
He was the MVP of the Fiesta Bowl 2 years ago in their 11-1 season, the greatest in Oregon State's history. And coming up at the half in our Nissan halftime report, Chris, Kellen, and Artie will be talking college football and an unbelievable upset with number 20 Nebraska at Iowa State, Kentucky against Florida. Jared Lorenzen, they call him the Pillsbury throw boy. He's a big quarterback.
He's almost as big as Kellen Winslow. Now see, Kellen was cheap.
That's not right.
250-pound tight end.
Kellen's cut.
Oh, he's ripped.
Jared is not. Jared needs to lose some libs.
Jared is not. No. Okay. So now you got to spread the field again. What Oregon State's been able to do is neutralize the Polamalu factor. Troy Polamalu, we haven't been calling his name because Oregon State has spread him out. They've kept Polamalu off the line of scrimmage, put him in space. So now you got Kenny Farley right here, Steve, in the slot. I think he's their go-to guy.
And Polamalu will be covering him. Anderson sacked at the 41-yard line. Kenechi Udeze has just had a marvelous role in this defensive stand. Shaun Cody with the sack. Udeze was coming from the far left. And still on the football field, an Oregon State offensive lineman.
Udeze, watch him just working against Ewis, the tight end, who they kept in to block, and Ewis not accustomed to blocking 300-pound guys. And Udeze comes in 5 tackles for loss, and you see the vision over this way. He was looking for Farley, who just missed a window. Shaun Cody there to fall on the ball, and Anderson getting a little hot. But you know, Steve, he's a leader of that offense, even though as young as he is, the true sophomore, he's leading that offense. And there's a look at that SC defense and defensive line, specifically Kenechi Udeze, second-team freshman All-American selection, getting a little breather.
And there's the injured player,
Lee Davis.
Boy, and he is a third-year starter who they just love, a senior from Inglewood, California, not far from here. That will hurt them. So Davis on the sideline. Now USC back on offense with a 6-0 lead. Palmer throwing right. Kerry Colbert out of bounds near the 45-yard line. Tackles made by Mitch Musin.
Plenty of time for SC to put together a nice drive now. 2:40 and some change rolling on the clock. And I think if you're Carson Palmer, get a first down. They'll stop the clock while they set the chains. And then, of course, SC with 3 remaining timeouts. So they ample amount of time.
Second down and 54 yards to pay dirt. This time Sultan McCullough ripped again. That defensive line has just done a terrific job. And defensive coordinator Craig Bray told us the defensive line is playing more physical each week, and we have seen the most physical they played all year in this game.
Well, and also, Steve, they just stacked the line of scrimmage. They got 8 guys in the box and in or around the line of scrimmage. And you know, when you got all those guys right there, they're just called run stuffers. So 3rd and 5, you'd expect SC to come out and throw the ball.
Palmer trying to dump it over the middle, and just enough for the first down. That is a receiver knowing exactly where he needed to get for a first down.
And Colbert was the receiver standing at 6 yards. No other receiver was past that 5-yard mark, which is kind of interesting. I mean, in the Norm Chow offense, you'd like a couple more guys, a selection of receivers, because if Colbert's not there, where do you go with the ball? For a first down, you don't. On that play.
They run McCullough. He flashes through and gets another first down inside the 40-yard line. Terrell Roberts maybe making a touchdown-saving tackle with McCullough's speed.
And Steve, they ran behind the big freshman Winston Justice, 6'6", 305-pounder. Long Beach Poly product. Long Beach Poly, of course, always in the news, just producing great players and one of the best teams in greater Los Angeles at the high school level.
Well, McCullough's saying he doesn't use his speed as well as he should. He said, I'm fast, but I'm not that quick. I need to attack that line of scrimmage. He did that time, and now a blitz is on, and Palmer's going deep. Mike Williams out there, incomplete. Weathersby step for step. 1 minute remaining.
You know, some of these freshmen that come out now, Steve, they're so good and so prepared. One of the reasons why Student Sports, Torrance-based California company, does a great job working with Nike, and they have these combine camps, and kids test out And I'll tell you what coaches do? They call up Andy Bark, the CEO, and they say, hey, who can play and who can't play? And when you have access to information now, the way you do with the internet, with video on the internet, with everything else, it makes recruiting that much easier, and you get guys like Winston Justice to play for you.
Alex Holmes first down inside the 30-yard line, and they are all of a sudden in field goal range with 52 seconds left.
Alex Holmes is a big, big target. He's dropped weight, too. So they got him listed 6'3", 265. Come on.
They said he came in at 305 and lost 40 pounds.
I know. But that's what the Kentucky quarterback looks like right there.
He does. You're right.
Or 81.
Let's go down to Kellen and Artie.
I tell you guys, the momentum down here on the field is amazing. How USC took advantage of bringing the ball down the field, and Oregon State then came right back but couldn't get anything going.
But you know what created the momentum? It was the aggressive play calling on defense by USC. When you blitz like that, Kellen, you make your own momentum. Great job by Pete Carroll of defensive signal calling. Back to you guys.
Why aren't they throwing the ball over the middle of the field?
Well, I think they're scared to throw it in the middle of the field, quite frankly. I really do.
Oregon State?
No, USC and Oregon State, for the fact that the defenses run so well, your best opportunity not to get a pass picked off is up the sideline. And I think that's why we're seeing so many throws up the sideline.
Well, Pete Carroll was a defensive master for Bill Walsh with the 49ers, and then later became a head coach for the Patriots for 3 years. His defenses were always good, but he has done exactly what he wanted to do. Stop the run. He's had only 2 Steven Jackson long runs and hit Anderson. Anderson has really been clocked like he hasn't been hit this year.
But you got to remember, this is where Oregon State has stiffened their defense in turn 2. They've only allowed SC 2 field goals and a third attempt that was no good.
Screen, Malaifa McKenzie. Short gain inside to the 25-yard line.
Steve, I really didn't know how good this Oregon State defense was. I knew their offense had some capacity and some bandwidth, and they could do some things, but this defense is impressive. I tell you, SC's got some athletes now, and they have played hard and fast to the ball.
Almost intercepted. Mitch Musin would have gone.
That's hard and fast to the ball right there. Mitch Musin, number 5. And Artie Gigantino said it a minute ago, you create momentum when you blitz, but when you got speed at the corner positions and you got guys that can lock up sometimes with those outside receivers, look at that. Musin really didn't go for the ball.
He was looking at Kareem Kelly when the pass was thrown. He was ready to blow up Kareem, and all of a sudden he found the football almost in his arms.
3rd and 10. Where's Kerry Colbert?
Wide right. Palmer looking his way. Finding Alex Holmes instead for the first down at the 11-yard line with 17 seconds left.
I know the tight end. I know Winslow is going to like that one. They finally put a flag on top of his helmet, and they found the tight end. I'm kidding, but he was the man that was most open. He's going to line up right here, and he's just going to run a little stop route. Gets in between the linebackers, and, we end up seeing what they can do. They just run a little cross underneath. All of a sudden, Alex Holmes pops free. Carson Palmer delivers the ball right on time. Bang, first down.
Oregon State needs a big play. They have not won here since 1960, 42 years.
Steve, you know my theory on senior leadership in college football and how important it is. And when we spoke to Carson Palmer yesterday, the one thing, he was bright-eyed. He was like, man, we got a great senior class. And he's at the head of the class. He and Troy Polamalu are 2 guys that are at the head of the class. But you know what? He's calm. He's patient. He's well coached. Steve Sarkisian over there, ex-BYU quarterback on the sideline, coaching him up, working with Norm Chow. And Carson, there's a lot of people out there saying, he's erratic. He overthrows people. You know what? I've worked out with the guy. I've seen him. He can throw. He's money. Okay.
I think
he's
the
an
biggest
NFL
question
type guy.
has been when they look at his stats in his career, 42 touchdowns, 41 interceptions.
You got to remember everyone he's played for. Right now, though, the most important thing is getting a conference win, and he's got some challenges right now.
He has McKenzie in the backfield. He looked that way. Now he will scramble. Fire end zone. Touchdown, Mike Williams.
Progression, fire the ball. And Carson Palmer, real patient that time, worked through his progression, hung in the pocket, found his guy, drilled it, touchdown. Easy, right?
Easy as Tom Ramsey. 13-0 USC.
America trusts America Online to make everything.
13-0 USC with the lead over Oregon State. And Ryan Killeen ready to kick off one more time. He has a very short run up. He wanted a short kick and gets it at the 20-yard line. The fair catch was made by OSU with 10 seconds left. USC's defense led to this touchdown by stopping Oregon State on the drive. They forced it on a 4th down fumble by Derek Anderson.
And their two players, Kenechi, Udeze, and Shaun Cody, falling on the ball. And take a look. Here it is. Pump fake. Stay in the pocket. Fire. Mike Williams doing a great job. Just kind of sliding back to the back of the end zone behind Lawrence Turner there. And nice scoring drive. 10 plays, 60 yards.
First touchdown. Now Steven Jackson. Jackson breaking outside. Polamalu chasing him out of bounds. And 3 seconds remain in the first half. Steven Jackson has had 3 medium runs, like 20 to 25 yards. Other than that, they have stopped him at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And Jackson in the ball game now with 65 yards on 11 carries, averaged 134 yards per game coming in. That was 7th most in the nation.
Yep.
DeShaun Hill helped out with the tackle, the free safety, the senior from Long Beach, California.
You know what I'm most impressed about Steven Jackson? His acceleration. Steve, once he gets hit, he's not going down. He gets hit, and then he ends up accelerating. Really puts a lot of pressure on that defense.
He was a sprinter in high school. Anderson back in trouble and sacked one more time. Another hit on Derek Anderson. And Pete Carroll in the first half, he said hit that young man, and that's the 4th time in the game he has been knocked down.
Wow, you know, I tell you, look at that. Omar and Nazel came from the backside, just crushed Anderson.
Let's go down to Lewis Johnson.
Thanks a lot, Steve. Well, tell me, what did that late touchdown do in the second quarter there? You couldn't get in the end zone early in the game.
That's a big boost for us. You know, that 6 points doesn't hold very big, you know, so that's a great score for us. We've got to keep playing good, tough football. This is still a very difficult game.
You told me before the game your 2 keys were to stop their run and to get after the quarterback. You did both of those things. Is that where the credit lies for shutting them out in the first half?
I think our pass rush is pretty hot. You know, we're getting after them. If we can keep that going, it's going to be hard for them. So I'm really hoping we can keep that alive.
Okay, Pete, thanks. Steve, back up to you.
Thank you, Lewis. And when we come back, we'll go to Chris Rose and the Nissan halftime report. USC leads by 13. Second, as USC won the opening coin toss and deferred to the second half, so the Trojans will get it first. And they can really hurt OSU's chances with a long drive in the first 5 minutes of the second half. Herschel Dennis back deep. He was the high school All-American running back last year at Long Beach Poly High School. And Ryan Seska will kick off. It is Dennis at the 5-yard line. Herschel breaking a tackle and spinning out past the 25. And down he goes near the 28-yard line. Here's our FedEx U.S. Air Express stats. Carson Palmer throwing 7 times to his wide receivers, 4 to his tight ends, and 2 to his running backs. And he goes a lot to his running backs, particularly Malifo McKenzie.
And Steve, one of the things, being able to hit the tight ends down the middle of the field. Earlier in the ball game, Kellen Winslow has said, hey, how come they're not throwing down into the teeth of the defense? A lot of what Oregon State does too is zone blitz, so that middle gets kind of clumped up.
Here's McKenzie right away. A short gain past the 30-yard line. Let's go to Lewis Johnson.
Thanks a lot, Steve. I was talking to Dennis Erickson as he came out on the field and asked him about the low rushing and passing yards in the first half. And he said really it comes down to a lack of blocking, a lack of execution. But then there was this bad news. Remember offensive tackle Lee Davis, who limped off the field in the second quarter? He has a torn ACL. He is out for the year. And so now that's the second offensive lineman they lost. Last week it was offensive lineman Brian Kilkenny. Bad news there.
That is terrible news because Davis, one of their top players. And here goes USC on the ground and muscling his way forward up near the 35-yard line is tailback Sultan McCullough. OSU has bombarded their first 4 opponents this year, outscoring them by 35 points per game, outgaining opponents by 242 yards per game. They had out-touchdowned their opponents 24-4, but they have been completely humbled by USC's defense. And now the Trojan offense 3 yards from a first down. McCullough remains the tailback. Palmer will throw. Alex Holmes has it go off his hands, out of bounds, incomplete, excuse me. And it'll be 4th down in punting situation, so Oregon State's defense stiffens. And this first possession by OSU, they really need points.
Hey, Steve, what they do, they send it back out in the flat, and then Alex Holmes is right here. It should be a real easy throw and catch, but it ends up not being so. Just nice little wrinkle by Norm Chow, and the ball's a little bit behind Alex Holmes. He's unable to come down with the ball.
High snap, good punt away, but it will allow Roberts for the return, and it takes a Oregon State bounce. They will down it at the 32-yard line. Time out on the field. Out on the field. 13-0 USC. Los Angeles, California, where USC hosting Oregon State. 13-0 Trojans with it, and OSU with the football for the first time in the second half. Steven Jackson sprints outside left, and Jackson knocked down after a 4-yard gain. Jake Pratt is the new left tackle taking over for Lee Davis, and here is our FedEx Steven Jackson ground stats.
Well, there's that middle of that defense once again, but Steven Jackson, he's been effective inside and outside, but you see a lot of plays have started in the middle, Steve, and then he's bounced them outside and really picked up some big yards. I think in the second half you're going to see Jackson carry the ball a lot.
And Jackson had 5 yards on that. Now 68 yards rushing. Play action pass. Anderson downfield. He goes, and he had his wide receiver Kenny Farley, and that's a drop by an OSU receiver.
But we talked about this, Steve, when you and I at halftime we ended up walking outside and it's raining. I mean, there's rain coming down. All of a sudden, ball's slick as all get out, and you think now the Beavers in Corvallis, they're used to, look at that pretty picture. Doug Freeman, our director, sent it this way. Pot of gold right at the end of the rainbow. Looking to hit that lottery. 3rd and 5.
Oregon State must feel at home with this rain. Anderson used to that coming from Scappoose. The mark is going to be really important. I think they gave him a very good mark for a first down.
Very generous mark. Very generous mark, but Pete Carroll's hot on the sideline. He's saying that ball wasn't over the first down marker. You know, when you run all 5, I mean, just let it run. They end up just running more or less kind of a chain route. They get all their guys past the line, and Derek Anderson has his choice of guys.
That was their first 3rd down conversion of the ball game. Now 1 for 8. Jackson, nothing. Once again, it's the middle of that line, led by Cody and Patterson, with Champ Simmons coming up from his linebacking spot. Boy, there's a rare scene in Southern California.
Yeah,
it never rains in Southern California.
Never rains. No, people flip this game on and think it's in Corvallis.
Look at that rainbow.
It is awfully pretty, though.
Somewhere over the rainbow, there's a football game being played.
We're getting freeloaders in the box now. I mean, it started to rain, and
did you see the end of the rainbow
up here in the box?
End of the rainbow is at the Staples Center, where Fox Sports has all their offices. That's where the gold is. Anderson, play action, down he goes. Incomplete, intended for Shaun Kintner.
Steve. I don't know if Shaun Kittner's the guy that you want going vertical down the field. I said it early on. There's guys, Jason Boyd, number 17, is really the guy you want to get free down the field. And Boyd and Kittner have been alternating at that split end spot. You see, first 4 games, 8 catches, 120 yards. I mean, not a bad guy to throw to, but matching up against this defense, Justin Wyatt, a real fast corner. You want number 1 or number 17. Right now, you got Farley down here in the bottom.
They spread him out again. It is 3rd and 10. Anderson all kinds of time, whips it, and it is broken up beautifully by USC. And it's William Buchanan, the redshirt freshman from Oceanside.
And there's a big reason why USC's pass defense, Steve, is number 1. Their total defense is number 1.
They were only allowing 108 yards per game passing this year. That's unbelievable.
And their opponent third down conversion, they're allowing 16% conversion ratio coming into the game. That's insane.
Carlson waiting at his 10, takes it at the 11. Flag goes down. Carlson sprints past the 20-yard line, and then he's mugged at the 22. But again, there is a flag down. This is really a proven year for USC. Last year with Pete Carroll, he had his honeymoon season first year, and he won 4 of his last 5. But the alums want a major bowl this year, and they opened the conference with the toughies. I mean, this is the toughest schedule, I believe, in college football. Not only the Pac-10 conference, but you open with Auburn, Colorado, and at Kansas State, and they still have to play Notre Dame. That's their other non-conference foe.
You know, it looked like that Oregon State Beaver got blocked into that halo, Steve.
Personal foul.
Let's listen to the call.
Kick catch interference with contact against the kicker, 15 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
Oh, that's a tough call now. I'll tell you what. I think he got blocked into him.
We've got a timeout on the field. USC talking about it with a 13-0 lead.
It happens every October. Sports' biggest month of the year takes flight. Fortunes are turning. Momentum is shifting. October's magical matchups, only on Fox.
You know what, man? Why did they take away the end zone dances, man? I like that, man.
Shamon Jamerson appears, I thought he might have got blocked into the receiver Carlson, but no, he didn't. And Carlson did a great job of concentration, coming down with the ball and then taking it up the field a little bit.
He was inside the halo underneath the rainbow. And here's McCullough sweeping left side. He has tremendous speed, gets the first down out past the 38-yard line. Sultan McCullough came in with 241 yards rushing in this ball game, and McCullough now over 45 yards rushing in this contest.
Well, Sultan McCullough, Steve, I really believe he may be the biggest threat for the Southern Cal offense. I mean, he's a guy, he can take it the distance anytime, but you got to get him in space and let him operate. Between the tackles, I'm not sure how good he is. Not to say he's not tough enough, but they just don't get the holes open for him.
Play action, blitz is on by Noah Happy. Great pass by Palmer to complete it, because all over him was Noah Happy, the defensive end.
All right, take a look at the guy, #1 tackler for Oregon State and the Pac-10 Conference, Nick Barnett. You see, a little play action fake really kind of took him out, but you see how fast he closes on Malifo McKenzie and then just comes and swats him.
He's a guy who came into the program at 190 pounds. He has added 45 pounds and now a senior and one of the top linebackers. Palmer fumbles. The ball's kicked away, and Oregon State has it at the 45-yard line.
Steve, that's having Calvin Carlisle, very experienced safety, back there. All of a sudden he sees a loose ball, and he comes up and he pounces on it. He doesn't try to pick it up. You just see it's an exchange problem. Carson Palmer never got the ball, and again, attribute that to a wet ball, and the field's a little wet, so you don't have the tackiness and the grip that you'd ordinarily have, especially if you're playing at SC, because you never expect it to rain.
So Palmer to the sideline. An opportunity now and an exchange problem between the center, Matt Brock, and Derek Anderson. Flags everywhere. But Anderson was pulling away. He may have jammed a
Prior
finger.
to snap, false start, offense, 5 yards, previous spot, repeat first down.
I think Anderson's going to be stacking up the aspirin after this game.
Oh, no question. I mean, he already had a rough first half throwing the football. And that is penalty number 8 for 76 yards. You see how strong Dennis Erickson's teams have been. When they had the 11-1 season, they were +19 last year. They didn't go to a bowl and were minus in the turnover column. This year 4-0 and way up in turnovers. They're now back even with USC because they fumbled it twice in the first half, and now they have intercepted a pass and recovered a football. And now Steven Jackson on a carry.
Hey Steve, Steven Jackson, watch him come right up here and watch Shaun Cody in particular, because you'll see how strong Steven Jackson is. Well, actually it was Mike Pollard, the middle linebacker, and I'll tell you what, he is so strong he can shake guys off him. 230-pounder out of Las Vegas.
They go to Tim Ewis, and Ewis with the catch, only his second catch of the day. The first one was for a big gain, and Tim Ewis went for 31 yards on his first catch. Gets him near a first down. They need to get just across the 35-yard line for a first down. Oregon State, they need to get on the scoreboard. They're going to make this game interesting. It is 13-0, and USC has completely shut down Derek Anderson, who came in with throwing over 1,200 yards in his first 4 games.
3rd and 3, Farley right here in the slot.
Anderson's looking right, though, and it's broken up beautifully by DeShaun Hill.
What ends up happening, Steve, they got mirrored routes on either side. Derek Anderson's foot slips. I don't think the ball comes out where he wants it to come out. Cole Clayson just doesn't get the separation from the defender, DeShaun Hill. You got to go put a move on the guy. All right, I like it. Oregon State going for it on 4th down. No hesitation.
4th and 3, and a flag goes down. Did someone line up incorrectly? Jermaine Jackson is the most disappointed.
Dead ball, illegal substitution. More than 11 players broke the huddle against the offense. 5 yards, previous spot, repeat 4th down.
And instead of 4th and 3, it is now 4th and 8. So what do you choose to do? Pin him deep with a punt?
Oh, you have to now. You got to play the field position game. I thought it was a creative call by Dennis Erickson, but you know what? Dennis Erickson is a winning coach, and Steve, he's 7th on the active winning list, but he's 3rd in all-time wins behind Bobby Bowden and Joe Paterno. Those are 2 pretty much household names, although both coaches took a loss this week.
Carl Tovey punts it. Carlson fair catches. The ball bounces sideways and then is knocked out of bounds near the 20-yard line. This fall, get your NFL fix a day earlier with the most outrageous, unpredictable NFL pregame show you've ever seen. Introducing Tony Siragusa. There he is. Michael Irvin, the former Cowboy wide receiver, and comedian Tommy Davidson. Pregame shows, they say, may never be the same. So start your NFL weekend before the kickoff with the NFL show presented by the U.S. Postal Service. That's the NFL show on Fox Sports Net. USC now from the 19-yard line. Carson Palmer. McCullough. Flag down, and Sultan goes down at the 25-yard line. This might be a hold because there was a lot of attackers that couldn't get to Sultan.
I don't know if it was a hold or a takedown by Alex Holmes. 2-point takedown. Yeah, I think he wrestled the defensive end. Might have been Swancut. Swancut's been involved in a lot of different plays. One way to slow him down is to tackle him. And you know he's guilty of a hold because he threw his hands up like, I didn't hold it.
On the offense, penalty is 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat, first down.
Well, it turns into a wise decision now by Oregon State electing to punt because you know what? You don't want to give the Trojans the ball at midfield. Remember now, USC had great field position in the first half. They really had 6 points as a takeaway out of a couple short drives, relatively short. They got a score before half, which was very big for them going in, gave a little confidence boost, as Pete Carroll said, going off the field. But right now is gut test time for USC and their offensive line, Steve, because A, you got to protect that guy right there, Carson Palmer, give him time to throw, and 2, you got to open some holes in the run game.
They face a 1st and 19 from their own 10. Targets past the 10 to about the 13-yard line where he's taken down there. It should be about 2nd down and 16 yards to go, maybe 15. But this is an important game because the Pac-10 loaded. I mean, 1 through 10. Cal finished last year. They almost beat Washington State today. What was the final score, like 45-38? California is good.
Yeah. Yes, they are good because they got a guy that's very offensive-minded in Jeff Tedford and knows how to create mismatches and get the ball vertical.
And it is an unbelievable start for USC. Not only Auburn at Colorado, at Kansas State, and then hosting a very good Oregon State team, but they go to Washington State next week, and then they host Cal, very good team. They host Washington, at one time a team that almost beat Michigan at Michigan, and then they have to go to Oregon.
Yeah, the schedule just loads up. Although USC and Oregon State have pretty favorable schedules because they each catch a bye.
I think USC's schedule is the toughest in the country.
Well, it is. It is ranked very high right now. They got a 3rd.
I don't know if I put favorable in a sentence.
No, bye week is favorable.
There you go, the bye week. A flag is down as McCullough runs for the 1st down. But let's see what this call is all about.
Yeah, the only thing favorable about that schedule, you get a bye week sometime. And I told Pete Carroll, he goes, hey, when do I get my bye week again? I said, I believe it's early. Yeah, it's early November, Pete. He was like, oh, yeah, that will be kind of good. He knew it. He knew he had a bye week.
Offsides, defense, the penalties decline. 1st down.
You know, Oregon State has a bye on November 2nd as well. Let's check out the USC schedule. Look how tough it is the next few weeks.
Yeah, their remaining games, and remember their 3 non-conference games were K-State at K-State, Colorado at Colorado. They blew up the Buffaloes, and then they had Auburn here, and Auburn, I mean, they faced some very tough defenses in Auburn.
How about that running back that Auburn has?
Cadillac Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Palmer
running like a
Ferrari. McCullough up to the 45-yard line where he will gain another 1st down. So the mistakes by Oregon State's defense hurting them after a 1st and 19 was converted. Let's go to Lewis Johnson.
Hey, thanks, Steve. You know, Trojan tailback Sultan McCullough shows his speed not only on the football field, but also on the track. Check it out. McCullough has a title of the fastest Trojan football player, and you see why here in this 100-meter win over some of his Pac-10 opponents. There he's taking the lead. Pac-10 champion in 1999, has a best of 10-17. One of a slew of 2 sports stars here at USC, and most coaches don't like it, but Pete Carroll loves that.
The 2 sport guys, here goes McCullough, but Sultan says, I want to be known as a pro football player, not a pro track guy.
See, Lewis doesn't know, had he gone to USC and not Cincinnati, he would have been playing football here. Because he ran track.
10-1-7, Darryl Rideau, Pete Carroll says, is the 2nd fastest defensive back he has ever had.
Yeah,
they said Darrell Green is the fastest.
Yeah, that's not 100-yard time. That's 100-meter time, okay? 1 and 2 and 2 and 4-7. Oh. smoking.
Kill.
You know what's interesting, though? SC doesn't look as fast today as they have in previous games that I've worked because Oregon State's so fast.
Terry Colbert diving for the football, incomplete, as Terrell Roberts was fighting with him.
Don't you think that's true, though? The speed is very evenly balanced on both sides. And again, SC taking a shot at the sideline. Safe throw. Safe throw. You're not necessarily looking for a big play here, but there's a little hole in that defense, and you can try and jam it in, and at least you don't run the risk of interception.
Craig Gray's theme is keep it simple, play fast. And if it is simple, mentally you can play fast with aggression. You're not thinking so much.
Yeah, and that's what makes them so good.
3rd down, 7 yards to go. Palmer with pressure. He throws it away because he had 2 big tackles in his face. Both weigh 300 pounds, and Dwan Edwards and Eric Manning.
Yeah, Eric Manning, once again, Steve, really bringing the heat. And veteran quarterback, though, Carson Palmer, not, you know, he was waiting for something to develop. It just never did. And he had a guy right in his face.
Take what the defense gives you. USC has in this ball game, and they have a 13-0 lead. And now they will watch their defense take over. Roberts slides down near the 26-yard line. Timeout on the field. 5:45 remaining in the 3rd quarter. USC putting it to OSU. Surfing USA.
Hey, Steve, you know what the good news is, though? Front page LA Times today, USC dedicating $100 million for professors to compete nationally in academics. I mean, that's a heck of a responsibility, but it's really does great things for the school and community and state and everything else.
Another drop, this time by James Newsom.
But I wonder
they have asked those professors to recruit athletes to USC.
I'm glad you said that and I didn't. I was going to say, I don't know if surfing would be a class.
Of course it's a class.
Yes.
It's an enjoyable class.
Okay,
James
Steve.
Newsom is their top target, and he had it right in his hands. That was a 1st down. Oregon State has to make big plays. They haven't.
Oregon State has to get something out of this drive, Steve. 3 points, 6 points, anything. They got to put a drive together, give them some bit of confidence. Look how far they're playing off in the slot. Boy.
Anderson again. This time a misread by his wide receiver Kenny Farley, and DeShaun Hill is down and slow in getting up as he hit his teammate William Buchanan.
This is the all-important. I really believe this. You don't want to start getting into the 4th quarter and worrying about having to put together drives. Right now you need a drive, but watch Troy Polamalu. He kind of lulls people to sleep, and then when he breaks on the ball, man, he is a bullet. Almost comes up with it. We haven't heard a lot of his name today, but it's because Oregon State plays so much spread receiver set, they really put him in space, and he's playing a deep safety right now.
The blitz is on. They dump it off to Steven Jackson, and look at USC. Have they played a beautiful defensive game? They have shut out an Oregon State offense that came in averaging 47 points per game. They have stopped Oregon State's bread and butter. That's big plays. They had 3 plays more than 20 yards in the 1st half. The other 28 plays, Rams went for a total of 31 yards in the 1st half.
And Steve, that's a lot of unused offense. You know, I mean, even though SC, they're playing great defense, but you got to find a way to block people.
Now Toby in trouble, and he is down by USC, and the Trojans will get it inside the 15.
Jason Leach, number 27, was the one that came off the edge and put the final hit on the punter, Toby. You see the frustration right now starting to creep into Oregon State. And Steve, the snap is low. Remember, the field is wet, ball gets moisture on it. Next thing you know, Toby can't come up with it. Jason Leach, the special teamer, comes and hammers Toby, bang. Now SC with the short field. So what do you do? If you're Norm Chow, you take a shot in the end zone right here, don't you?
Absolutely. And he'll spread them out and maybe try just that. His running back will be Justin Fargas. Alex Holmes lined up as the slot to the right side, then went in motion. I'm not sure if he was the guilty guy, but as soon as he went motion, they threw the flag.
And it's a shame. They have a penalty on a procedure.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense. 5 yards, previous spot, repeat first down.
On an illegal procedure with 2 experienced guys, Kareem Kelly and Alex Holmes, all it is a simple shift and then a motion across, but I guarantee you there's coaches fuming. Take a look at the penalties. Very costly to Oregon State today. 81 yards, and that tends to hurt. I still take a shot at the end zone right here.
They will send Big Mike Williams, who had his first college touchdown early in this game, to the right side. That's where he caught his first. Kelly goes in motion. They will go reverse to Kareem Kelly. It's being pursued beautifully by Oregon State, and he is out of bounds at the 15-yard line. They will lose about 3 on the play.
You know, Steve, do you think that Oregon State, the defenders had, don't forget the reverse. Think about reverse, because Craig Bray, the defensive coordinator, when we asked him, I said, hey, you know, SC sure ran a lot of bootlegs on you last year. And he goes, yeah, and I expect them to run a reverse, Tom. He goes, heck, I would run a reverse against us because we tend to over-pursue.
Well, Craig might be celebrating after this game just about the fact that they read the reverse beautifully.
That's right.
He has to hope his offense picks up. His defense has not played badly. Carson Palmer, end zone. Touchdown, Mike Williams. We asked Carson Palmer what the play was to Mike Williams, his favorite play, and he said, I just tell him to get open and I'll just throw it up high in the air.
What a nice release by Mike Williams, Steve. You saw the little juke off the line of scrimmage. The defender never put a hand on him, therefore never slowed him up, and Mike Williams took a nice tactical route right around the defender. Nicely thrown ball by Carson Palmer. Touchdown SC.
USC trying to put this in the deep freeze as Palmer has thrown for his second touchdown of the ball game, and both have gone to the true freshman from Tampa, Florida.
What a big target. You know what? Right there, Carson Palmer, great protection. I know I've kind of ridden the offensive line a little bit today, but they did a nice job there when they had to. They gave Carson Palmer plenty of protection. No one close. Palmer gets the ball out nicely. Puts a little air underneath it. Nice trajectory, and next thing you know, SC's got a touchdown. And I remember the horse used to run around and all kinds of. I didn't see the horse today.
Where is Traveler?
I don't know. Maybe he's got that. Oh, there he is.
Prancing in the other end zone. This October will be filled with spellbound days and mystical nights as sports' biggest month comes to Fox. Baseball's division series kicks off up to 125 hours of October's magical matchups with thrilling NFL showdowns and exciting baseball playoff action. No other network will broadcast more sports in a single month this year. The magical matchups begin October 1st only on Fox. There's Traveler.
You know, I didn't see the horse for a moment. I thought I didn't know if they had got immunized against the West Nile virus.
Only you would have thought that. A UCLA Bruin. And USC will go for 2 points. They spread them out. Palmer looks, and it's broken up. Richard Siegler with the breakup. 20-0. Palmer was decked. 19-0. USC with the lead on Oregon State. Here is the kickoff. Roberts and Williams. It is Roberts out past the 20, and Terrell gets it to the 30-yard line with 19 minutes and 35 seconds remaining in this football game. And Oregon State has shown very little offensively. They only have 107 yards total offense in this ball game.
And Steve, that's on 43 plays. They're 1 for 10 on third down. 1 for 10. Ouch. 0 for 2 on fourth down. Only 6 first downs in the game. Derek Anderson's only completed 7 passes. 24 attempts, 74 yards.
Came in at 63%, and Jackson now stuffed on a wonderful play by middle linebacker Mike Pollard, who missed number 45.
Boy, you know, Pete Carroll just has it. He has it dialing up right now, because watch Pollard from his middle linebacker position just comes in untouched and just hammers it helmet to helmet. Clean hit. Really puts a number on. Watch this. Come right, run the gap, shoot the gap. Mike Pollard, just great recognition, keyed it up, fit right in there, and made a nice hit on Jackson.
Had a great game last year against the Beavers, doubling up again this year. Play action, Anderson firing, and again knocked down. This time by Jason Leach, strong safety from La Puente, California.
Steve, and that is a great play by Jason Leach, because again, in defense, it's recognition of plays, and via formation or offensive sets where the backfield lines up. And right there, once again, they really kind of got to the point before Oregon State was able to execute. And just great job of picking up keys. Once again, 3rd and 11, spread offense for Oregon State. Remember, 1 for 10 on 3rd down. He's got to burn a timeout.
A timeout called down by 19 points by Derek Anderson.
Well, you got it. You know what? This drive is like the previous drive. It's very important. You got to get some momentum. You got to get some continuity on offense.
Let's go down to Kellen and Artie.
I tell you, Artie, it's amazing that Oregon State's not be able to come out and muster any type of offense, even after, I'm sure, a fiery second half or halftime speech by Dennis Weathersby. They are flat offensively.
They really are, and you know, the speed of the USC defense, and quite honestly, the USC passing game is what really impressed me. And I think your point earlier in the day was right. This is a different football team on grass and on AstroTurf, guys.
Much different football team. They're not getting any big plays downfield. Rams, you pointed it out, they're not getting the ball to the big play guys, and they just are not running the ball well at all.
You know, I think part of it, though, Kellen and Artie, might be the fact that Pete Carroll is looking inside the Oregon State playbook. I mean, really, the guy has game planned them exceptionally well, and guys are making plays.
Yeah, how good is Kansas State? They beat Pete Carroll's USC Trojans last week, 27-20. The Big 12, the Pac-10, really good conferences. 6 Big 12 teams in the top 25. 5 Pac-10, 4 SEC, 4 Big 10. These are the 2 premier conferences according to the rankings. Anderson rolling right and flipping too high for his wide receiver, who was well covered. And almost throwing it away was Derek Anderson. Well, we found out about the kid from Scappoose, Oregon. There will be learning processes along the way as he comes limping off the field. He was the #2 rated quarterback in the nation coming out of high school, and he had a wonderful start in his first 4 games, but he's finding out about your first conference game.
Remember, they had trouble on the last punt.
Toby hitting it to Carlson. Carlson with the catch, and then he is drilled. And there goes the flag inside the halo.
Now, we've seen a lot of those penalties today.
Eric Williams.
They got the punt off. Carlson's done such a nice job catching that punt. I'll tell you what now, Steve, that is not easy. That's not an easy job back there, to come in, to catch a ball when it's wet, slippery, on the run, your helmet's moving all around, then you got some guy bearing down on you wanting to knock your head off.
Interference with the opportunity to catch the kick, violation of 2-yard belt, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, first down.
You know, it's not, that 10-yard penalty now equates into a pretty good gain, because where it used to be 5 yards, you know, a lot of teams go, yeah, you know, 5 yards, give him 5 yards. You know, instead of letting a good return guy get it run.
That's the one rule change that we have seen from last year to this. USC with a 19-0 lead, and they have the football back with 3.5 remaining in the 3rd period. Carson Palmer has completed 18 passes in this ball game. Now sends his receiver Malika McKenzie in motion, and then hands the football off to Justin Fargas, short gain.
Steve, name of the game so far, USC coming in with the 3rd-ranked defense in the NCAA, and they have brought heat on young Derek Anderson. His 5th start as an Oregon State Beaver. He's taking a lot of heat right there. Mike Pollard just bringing a hammer on Steven Jackson, and Steven Jackson's been their one bright spot, but take a look at that. Only time shutout ever as an NCAA coach. Dennis Erickson, 1994 Fiesta Bowl.
That was
Arizona.
by Desert Swarm. Wasn't Teddy Bruschi on that team?
Yes, he was.
Palmer throwing and completes the pass to his wide receiver, Kerry Colbert. And if you throw it near Kerry Colbert, he's holding on. And he had two white jerseys surrounding him over the middle. They talk about wide receivers and their courage going over the middle. 83's got courage.
Kerry Colbert is unflappable, Steve. He really does have very soft hands. His concentration level very high. His attention to detail. I mean, he knows where he's supposed to be, and he knows what kind of defense he's running into, which really helps the quarterback out.
Now on 3rd and 1, will you run Fargas? Yes. Straight at the middle, and he slams forward, gets the first down by 1.
You know, we said this game was going to be won and lost in the trenches. Who could run the football? Norm Chow said they would run the football to the point of stubbornness. And you know what? They have. And I got stubborn watching them do it a couple times. But look, first downs, 21-6. You can't argue with that. You can't argue with offensive production. There's a look at Norm Chow right there. Nice look at Norm, the veteran offensive coordinator, has done such a great job here at USC and really has settled Carson Palmer down, Steve. I mean, Carson had to go through a lot of different systems. Paul Hackett, Hugh Jackson, Kenny O'Brien helped him out at quarterback. And I mean, he had a lot of offense in his head, and you know, you need a guy to kind of help you sort all that out and then bring a system that's conducive and comfortable to what your skill set is. And he's been able to do that. You know, last year they really were at a disadvantage without having any running backs. That you know, as much as you know, didn't do well running the ball, but heck, they didn't have anybody. McCullough got hurt, ended up having a season-ending surgery. So this year they're pretty amply stocked back there at the tailback position.
USC, great running tradition, not much of a passing tradition. No USC quarterback has led the conference in passing since 1949. That will change under Norm Chow as he gets the football to Mike Williams, who scored 2 touchdowns in this ball game. And the 6'5", 210-pound true freshman from Tampa, Florida, makes another catch.
And what you have is Carson Palmer has made his mark in the USC record book right here, dropping back, hits that back step, bang, pops up, and then just laser to Mike Williams, who it appears to be the future. We're kind of right now, isn't it? Mike Williams, pretty impressive.
You know,
pretty impressive player.
A great matchup disadvantage on any small cornerback. You put him on Terrell Roberts' side. Terrell is 5'9", and Williams is 6 feet 5 inches tall. Palmer looking left, now going right, and he was trying to find Kareem Kelly, who had his man beaten by a step.
Oh, that's a nice wrinkle in the Norm Chow offense, Steve. They end up showing what appears to be a screen. Defenders are yelling screen, and then Kareem Kelly makes a little double move up the sideline. They try to sneak a deep ball in. That's a great little strategy right there. Great play. And what Carson Palmer say about Norm Chow? He said, hey, if I see a play on TV like the Packers or the Broncos or someone run, hey, I'll bring it in and show Coach Chow. And, okay, yeah, let's run it. That looks good. And you gotta like a veteran coach that says, hey, I'm still learning. I like these kinds of things. I want to experiment, try to get the ball up the field, but more importantly, I want to run plays where my quarterback goes, hey, I kind of like that play.
And we asked Carson Palmer, we said, does he let you run plays you're comfortable with? He said, he'll let me look at the playbook and said, this is our plan for this week. And Carson said, I like this on 3rd down. I like to do this on 2nd and long. And you don't want a quarterback to run a play that he has doubt in the back of his mind. Yep. Those will not work. Carson Palmer, he is the all-time passing leader in USC history. That's the end of the 3rd quarter with a score 19-0 Trojans. You're watching College Football Saturday presented by Kyocera on Fox Sports Net.
Everybody knows we're bandit, okay? The regular bandit, okay? We'll bring this guy in for him.
That was Pete Carroll, the head coach of USC. He has done a marvelous job. He is also the defensive coordinator. And when you are a coordinator and head coach, that's a lot of responsibilities.
False start, offense, 5 yards, previous spot, repeat third down.
You know what, Steve? It is, but he's been a head coach in the NFL, and I guarantee you, the pressure as a head coach in the NFL, you know, he probably thinks, hey, this is pretty easy.
I don't think so.
No,
anytime you're a head coach in a university like USC,
it's not easy.
It's a challenge.
But he loves coaching. He wants to get in and get dirty.
Sultan McCullough fumbling it, but he said he was already down.
Dennis Erickson very involved on both sides of the ball up at Oregon State. I mean, it's not like he's just a head coach sitting there. Newhouse up at Washington, very involved with the offense. I mean, you look up and down the Pac-10, look across the country. I mean, Larry Coker, you know, defensive coordinator at Miami, head coach. I mean, he's not turning over everything. These guys, they like to stay involved because that way, that's how they can find pressure points in their team all the time. You know what's hot.
And Oregon State has it tough in front of them. I mean, they've got USC today, then they will be home to UCLA next week. Then they go to Arizona State, a surprisingly good team. They slam Stanford today, 65-24.
Dirk Cutter, hey, good young coach, very involved in the offense, calling plays, drawing them up, letting it ride.
Delay of game on the offense, 5 yards. Previous spot, repeat fourth down. The clock will start on the snap.
You know, John Makovic, same thing. You know, I mean, he's, you know, ex-head head coach NFL. I mean, very involved, calling plays, his offense, and very productive. Jason Johnson putting up big numbers.
Arizona will play later tonight against North Texas State. Pharrell Roberts is backbeat, standing at his 15-yard line. And the punt away by Tom Malone, and he angles it left sideline, but that is end zone. And OSU will have the football with 14 minutes left. Hey, Penn State came back and tied the game down 20 with 10 minutes to go today. Here's a Rena Center game summary. USC by 19, and Oregon State coming in averaging better than 47 points per game in their first 4. 0 today. Oregon State almost as many penalty yards as total yards. 22-6 first downs by the Trojans, and Mike Williams first 2 touchdowns catches.
Mike Williams has been a very big factor today. Nice target for Carson Palmer, but Steve, the 105 total yards, more importantly, what Pete Carroll's USC defense has done to Oregon State on third down. They've only converted 1 of 12. That is difficult.
Dead ball foul. Personal foul against the defense. The penalty is enforced from the 20-yard line, half the distance, first down.
And Oregon State has had very few big plays.
Okay.
That's one of their keys.
Did you follow that dead ball? So after the touchback, they go from half the distance from the 20. That's how it ends up on the 10. In case anyone at home is kind of going, well, I don't get it.
Well, straighten it out for me. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, I got to straighten it out for myself, too.
13 points by USC in the second quarter, 6 in the third quarter, and the touchdown from Palmer to Mike Williams. Now it's Derek Anderson having his worst game of his career, totally slapped around by the USC defense.
Well, game long from over. SC putting some reserves in.
Well, the way their defense is playing, it may not be long from over because Mike Patterson just got the 4th sack on Derek Anderson. He has now been hit 8 times in the football game and has suffered 4 sacks.
Yeah, they come off the edge, Steve, over here, and Nazel and Patterson and these guys. I mean, the defensive line, Nazel, Patterson, Shaun, Cody, Kenechi, Udeze, they have played a great game right at the line of scrimmage.
Anderson, short catch of maybe 1 yard past the original line of scrimmage to James Newsom, who has had a fabulous start this year with 22 catches for 5 touchdowns, has been so quiet in this game and also has 2 drops.
You know, I just think SC completely took them out of their rhythm. I mean, here they were scoring, you know, averaging 47 points a game, and all of a sudden you face a team, you kind of have questions how good you are because you're running against Temple and UNLV, and you don't really know. Fresno State you thought would be a pretty good test, but Fresno State was banged up. They were banged up, and Dennis Erickson said, you know, Tom, they were hurting when they played it, so we didn't get a good look.
Anderson drops the football. He's being chased, fires it downfield, incomplete, intended for Cole Clayson. And Anderson is furious and limps off the field. He had his left ankle heavily taped, and we may see Adam Rothenflew before this game is over. 8 for 28 for 80 yards.
Well, Steve, watch this, because they try to get the play down the field, and then Polamalu, guess who? The All-American safety from USC right there to make the play, knock the ball away. Ball falls incomplete. 1 for 13 on third down conversions.
And Pete Carroll wanted us to correct one thing on the air today that was said last week in the Kansas State game. As Carlson makes the catch and then goes down, he said their broadcaster said that I said that he was a better safety than Ronnie Lott. He said, I never said that. Ronnie Lott's the greatest player I've ever seen.
Ronnie Lott will come kick his butt.
And welcome back to the LA Memorial Coliseum, where it is all USC. They have a 19-0 lead over Oregon State. I'm Chris Rose alongside the Hall of Famer Kellen Winslow, the coach Artie Gigantino. And Kellen, I got to be honest, that Beaver offense has less rhythm than Artie.
And that's pretty bad. What we thought was going to happen, Artie, was that Oregon State was going to take advantage of these young quarterbacks for USC. They haven't done that because they can't get the ball off.
And the other side of the field, though, the USC wide receivers, led by Williams, have done a great job, I think, of not only hanging on to the ball, but doing a good job against these corners from Oregon State. Kudos to them.
Now expect Carson Palmer to just hand it off and just chew up the clock. Let's send it back upstairs to Steve Fiziak and Tom Rand.
Thank you, Chris. And instead of running that football, he goes to his favorite target, Kerry Colbert, through the air as USC continues to jump all over Oregon State throughout this game. Their defense has played an unbelievable game, while Carson Palmer has, in the second half, looked like that guy.
Steve,
a champion.
You know, the ability to mix it up. Look at Carson Palmer. He just broke Rodney Pete's record today, 86-40. Total offense. You know, Carson, he has minus rushing yardage. That's why he didn't already pass Rodney Pete. Rodney Pete had positive rushing yardage as in his Trojan career.
McCullough. Two-time McCullough to the 15-yard line.
Rodney Pete, kudos go out to him. Father Time, we're going to call him. He's resurrected his career and playing awfully well with the Carolina Panthers, the undefeated Carolina Panthers. Just watching this one. You know, he's done a lot of radio shows recently, and he was on Jim Rome's show the other day and did a great job. Just did a great job. And you know, you wonder why guys are so successful, because the guy is so settled and squared away in his life, on the field, off the field. He's the only guy that beat Troy Aikman a couple times in his collegiate career. 2 in a row.
Pete for USC, Aikman for UCLA, and here goes McCullough. Again, he didn't attack the line of scrimmage. He felt for where the openings might be.
These are some, I was passed away a long time ago, Steve.
You're underneath the TV set
right
now.
I'm kind of down that way, but now, you know, here's Carson moving up the ladder. Took off Jake Plummer. He's going to get Elway next, and then Wilhelm and Smith, or a couple of Oregon State guys.
So about Tom Ramsey, now we could say number 41 on the passing charts, but number 1 in our hearts. Okay, number 2. Okay, number 3. Eric Manning limps off the field. Say he has had a very strong game. We thought it might be a shootout. We thought it might be like 30-28, 35-30. And the defenses.
Both defenses are so good. I thought it would be similar to what last year's game was, kind of a 10-10 type of deal. And then they go into OT, and you know, and I tell you what, had Oregon State's offense showed up, they probably would have been, you know, 13-13, and now it's 19-0. Oregon State just didn't get untracked, and you know, a lot of it attributed to the pressure that SC's defense was able to put on them. 3rd and 4 for the Trojans.
Fargus slicing forward. Nice tackle by Richard Siegler to keep him from getting that first down. But you go on the road this year, and it's awfully tough. Look at Nebraska going to Ames, Iowa, and getting not only beaten but thrashed. I mean, 36-14.
Oh, it's Steve. The schedule. You know what happens in the schedules is crazy. But you know, going back to SC's schedule, they do have one of the toughest, as you mentioned earlier. Take a look at the field goal.
Ryan Killeen is 2 for 3. This one is up, and it is good from 32 yards out. So USC shutting out Oregon State 22-0. It took a minute 50. They went 5 plays and 27 yards, but right now the University of Southern California defense has shown exactly why. They came in first in total defense in the Pac-10 conference, first against the pass, 108 yards per game, and facing a offense that had been throwing for 316 yards per game and have completely shut down Oregon State to just 80.
Well, Steve, think about it.
Unbelievable.
I mean, they were number 3 in the country. Texas #1 defense in the country, but they're going to go move up a little bit. UCLA, big day today down at San Diego State. That was an early kickoff. Washington rolling over Idaho. Arizona State, you mentioned, just demolishing the Cardinal. Washington State 48, Cal 38. And Cal was way ahead at one point, 21-9.
Anderson staying in the ball game. And Rams, you were saying this is important, and another ball that's a little high, but maybe should have been caught by the wide receiver. But you think this is a learning game for Derek Anderson?
Absolutely. You know, there was some conversation at the break. We said, hey, do you leave him in? Do you take him out? You leave him in, because you know what? This is where you grow as a quarterback. Hey, you got to find a way to get things done. He's beat up. He's going to have 100 aspirin after the game, and you know that ankle's bothering him, the elbow's bothering him. He has taken shots, but he's also showed his resiliency, and more importantly, Steve, if he puts a drive together, or 2 drives or 3 drives, you know, they're back in the game.
They will run Dwight right for the first time in the game, and he is just hogtied and thrown down by big number 99 Mike Patterson.
The most debilitating aspect of this Oregon State offense all game long, on their third downs, what I'd love to know, they've had 3rd and 10 and 3rd and 11. How many times? 8 times? I mean, you know, they're 1 for 13 on 3rd down, but I mean, all of these have been long yardage 3rd downs, and that's not easy. It's not like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3.
So they'll spread out USC's defense, and USC's defense spreads out as well, playing it deep. And here comes the 4-man rush, and another sack by Mike Patterson, the 5th sack of Derek Anderson in this ball game.
They just keep coming and coming. Anderson even more pronounced limp now, and you know, I tell you, it's not easy when it's raining. And when I mean raining, not water drops, I mean Trojans, because it's raining on it. He's got a lot of red around him.
Now Toby punting to Greg Carlson, and inside the halo one more time.
Do you think they're going to work on that in special teams this week, Steve?
What is that, the 4th time they've been called for inside the halo in the ball game?
Yeah.
How many penalties has Oregon State collected in this ball game? 12.
Wow.
Interference, the opportunity to catch the kick, 2-yard bell, 10 yards from the spot of the foul against the kicking team.
Tell you what,
1st down.
You get 4. That's 40 yards. Giving the team 4. You're giving your opponent 40 yards. 4 different flagrant fouls. I mean, come on.
Well, you know what? Oregon State's defense has always been a violent, aggressive, fast defense. Even in that Fiesta Bowl victory over Notre Dame, they picked up a lot of personal fouls in that contest, a lot of penalties.
Yeah.
When Dennis Erickson's Miami teams won, they were fouled a lot.
Yeah.
They were fouling people all the time.
Well, there's a certain mentality. You know, if you're playing well, you don't, you know, there's a swagger you carry. There's an intimidation factor in playing defense. But then there's then there's the X factor. That would be the stupidity factor of just continuing making the same mistake over and over. And those are the mistakes you got to correct. I mean, when a guy makes a mistake, and we talked about this yesterday, Steve. Dennis Erickson, what I love about him, he doesn't care if his guys make a mistake going 100 miles an hour. But if you're not going 100 miles an hour, he's got a problem.
Yes.
So if you're not don't have the accelerator to the metal, something's, you're in shoot.
McCullough tried right, now cuts back left, slashes through, runs over the umpire almost, and picks up close to a first down for a Kyocera game break. Let's check in with Chris Rose.
All right, guys, from the Pac-10 to the Big Ten in Happy Valley, Penn State was down 35-13. However, they forced overtime where Brad Banks finds C.J. Jones. Banks 4 TD tosses on the day. Last chance, fourth down for Zach Mills. However, his pass hits a lineman. That's not going to get it done. Nittany Lions lose for the first time this year, guys.
Boy, that's a big win. Oh, big
Iowa
win.
at Penn State.
Big
at
win
Penn
for
State.
Iowa. I can see Chris Rose now having to put up with Tom Arnold all week, listening to the Iowa Hawkeyes.
How about the whole state of Iowa?
How about them?
Cyclones beat Nebraska and Iowa beats Penn State.
Of course, Chris, the great host of the Best Damn Sports Show on Fox, which is quickly becoming my favorite show on the tube. They got great guests. They got guys. I mean, it's amazing. They got NFL guys. They had Romanowski on the other day. They said, "Hey, do you like the Broncos?" He goes, "No, I hate them." Just like, this is great. This is good stuff. Oh.
On 1st and 10, McCullough gets it. USC trying to run out the clock. The Trojans with 24 first downs in this football game to just 6 for the Beavers. Next weekend, start your college football weekend with the best college football show on TV, the College Football Saturday Kickoff Show. Host Chris Rose joins Hall of Famer Kellen Winslow and the coach Artie Gigantino to preview all the day's actions. The College Football Saturday Kickoff Show, Saturdays at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific, only on Fox Sports Net. That's a funny trio. And they love to bring it your way. It's great having them with us. Kerry Colbert, what a catch. Was he inbounds? No, out of bounds, but what a catch.
Looked
This
like
guy's got hands.
Looked like he had it from here. That ball, well thrown, Steve, once again up the sideline. Watch Colbert climb the ladder. That ball sticks.
His right foot looked like it was in.
I thought he was in. Slow it down at the end here. And oh, yeah, see, it's great. We'll never know.
Let's try it again. Doug Freeman's third view.
Yeah, we'll slow it down again. Oh, I thought he was in.
That's a heck of a catch.
Yeah.
What an effort by Kerry Colbert.
That was impressive.
Now
Colbert,
3rd and 11.
Nice game for Kerry Colbert.
Oh, Richard Ziegler all over Sultan McCullough. This guy doesn't quit. His team may be down 22, but he still has fire in his eyes.
You know, this defense just hasn't played that bad. Oregon State's defense, look how many tackles in his career, 195. He's one of the top tacklers in the Pac-10. Nick Barnett, top tackler in the conference so far this year. He and Ziegler, though, just averaging about 8 or 10 per game between the both of them. And that's the bulk of the tackles happening.
Roberts near his 10. He'll let it go. And it'll go inside the end zone. So OSU will have a first down at their own 20-yard line, down by 22 at the LA Memorial Coliseum. Southern California, and the Trojans with a 22-0 lead against Oregon State. Beavers with the football. They've been completely shut down in this game. And now breaking free is Dwight Wright. Before that run, Oregon State had only 100 yards total offense. Let's go down to the sideline to Lewis Johnson.
All right, Steve, thanks a lot. Well, we all remember the record-setting quarterback for Oregon State, Jonathan Smith last year, excuse me, but he was telling me before the game now as a graduate assistant that he's trying to create a safe place for his young quarterback, Derek Anderson. You know, when another coach rips him or makes a mistake, or when a wide receiver drops the ball, he's there to help him out and talk things through. Now, we just saw Derek Anderson have the ankle retaken, so we're not sure if he's coming back in. But Jonathan Smith using some of that experience as Oregon State's graduate assistant for quarterbacks, helping the young guy. Tom?
And Lewis, they just took out Derek Anderson. He is 8 for 29 for 80 yards, by far the worst game in his college career. As a team, though, 100 yards total offense before the series, 80 yards passing, 20 yards rushing. And the new quarterback is Adam Rothenflew, a sophomore from Fresno, went to Washington Union High School in Fresno, California. 1st and 10 after 2 nice runs by Dwight Wright. Now fires, and it's intercepted. Dallas Sartz. Sartz to the 21-yard line.
Sartz's father, of course, played at Oregon State. A couple years back, but boy, this is just trying to stick a square peg in a round hole here. That's a no-no. That's why you don't throw it in the middle with a bunch of red jerseys and hope, just kind of hope something happens. Like you put a coin in a gumball machine and go, you know, I really want the blue one. My kids always do that. Oh, I really want the blue one, and a red one pops out. And they, Dad, can I have another quarter? I'm like, no.
Yeah, but the red ones have been popping out on their quarterbacks all over the field.
Yes, they have.
Sounds like they're playing with 14 men. Here's a pass to Chad Pearson, the fullback from Oxnard, California. Inside 5 minutes to play in this ball game. Boy, as USC battled back after losing at Kansas State, they had an unbelievable fourth quarter rally last week, trailing 27-6 and almost winning that game before Carson Palmer missed on a 4th down rally when they were down by just 7. But they really hurt themselves. They had too many drops by young wide receivers. Matt Castle is the new quarterback. He's the redshirt sophomore from Chatsworth.
Matt Castle, Steve, another one of those quarterbacks who've gone through the Elite 11 quarterback camp, one of the best quarterback camps, or the best quarterback camp that young high schoolers go through, and held annually down in Mission Viejo. And Carson Palmer's been through there. Matt Castle's been through there. Derek Anderson's been through there, and a whole host of other guys. But pretty impressive. Matt Castle, what a nice guy, nice kid he is. And I say kid because he's a lot younger than me, so I can get away with that. But, you know, he has stood and learned behind Carson Palmer. And I'll tell you what, you can learn a lot from a guy who's going to play at the next level. Just watching him handle himself, watching him make, you know, progression reads and get to the right guy. Castle will have a nice future ahead of him here at USC.
Herschel Dennis is run down. And there's Carson Palmer. There's Santa Margarita High School.
Carson recently engaged. 23 of 41, 231, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick.
You have been singing his praises for years.
I like him. I think he's I think his head is where it needs to be. He's focused. Guy works hard. He works hard. He reminds me of Troy Aikman, how hard he works, because when Troy was in college, Steve, no one worked harder. Nobody. And, you know, people said, oh, well, he's the first pick of the draft. He got, you know, millions of dollars. I go, well, he deserved it. You know, guy worked harder than anyone else. So, you know, and now the day, you know, I mean, Donovan McNabb, trust me, these guys, everyone knows $115 million over, you know, it's kind of like your salary demands of recent.
Yeah, but I just demand it and I don't get it. But Donovan McNabb, I was watching his work ethic. They did a show on Fox on Donovan McNabb working. It's unbelievable.
I know.
I couldn't believe how many hours he put in during the day.
Oh, great player.
Nothing like the work that Bill Borson puts in. He's the executive producer of Fox Sports Net. The coordinating producers of College Football Saturday are Roy Hamilton and Gary Garcia. Today's game was produced by Dennis Kirkpatrick and directed by Doug Freeman. The College Football Saturday studio show is produced by Lloyd Maxon and directed by Joe Wargus. Senior Vice President of Field Operations is Andrea Berry, and Director of Field Operations is Debbie Kilmartin. The last time Oregon State was shut out was 1997 against USC, and the final was 23-0. USC might be more impressed in this ball game because it's 22-0 against an offense that was so good, number 1 in the conference coming in and number 3 in the nation. Number 2 in the nation at 499 yards per game, second to Marshall, which was about 520.
Right behind the thundering Herd.
And they have only 114 yards total offense today.
Yeah, that's amazing. I tell you, it's been a fun day, though. I like having the studio show out. Had the A-team, had everyone together. A lot of good mojo working today. Except for the Oregon State offense. They didn't bring their mojo.
They haven't won here since 1960. 0-18. That was Terry Baker, who was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1962. His first game, and then he wouldn't win here again, and neither would OSU.
Oregon State will be back, trust me. Dennis Erickson, they'll go back, and he will. You know what, though? My guess, he could do one of two things, Steve. He could rail on these guys, but my guess is he won't. Okay? And I don't know, because we don't go down in the locker room after, but my guess is he'll kill him with silence. He won't say anything to him.
It's kind of like
then
your
they'll
parents,
sit there. Yeah.
When they don't yell, and they say, "I'm so disappointed in you." That's the worst.
They're good, though. Their defense is legit. It's just their offense struggled today against a very good, very effective, well-coached Trojan defense. I mean, just calling it like it is.
A minute and a half left. Rothendew gets the handoff to Dwight Wright, and it is a short gain. But USC unbelievably impressive, and they have a monster schedule in front of them. We told you next week they have to go to Washington State. Long trip to Pullman. Pullman ripped off 48 points against California today and won by 10. Then they have Cal at home, Washington at home. Then they go to Oregon, the Pac-10 champions. And Oregon's unbeaten. We'll have them next week on Fox Sports Net at Arizona.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a great game. Oregon at Arizona. Bobby Wade, the top receiver in the Pacific 10 Conference, one of the tops in the nation. One of the most exciting playmakers in the country, Bobby Wade is. And Jason Johnson's going to feed him the ball, and Clarence Farmer's going to be running. And Oregon, bye week this week. Mike Bellotti, he was on the Jim Rome radio show the other day. You're probably thinking, what does Ramsey do? Just drive around his car all day in Denver or what? I'm kidding. But I heard the show, and Mike Bellotti was so good, Steve, talking about what a bye week meant, how important it was to get guys healthy. And you know what? Oregon doesn't know how good they are because they've had a weak non-conference schedule. I mean, they've had a weak one. They're going to come into Tucson next week, and it's going to be, oh, man. Game speed's a little faster here in the Pac-10.
Well, Oregon State beat Eastern Kentucky, Temple, UNLV, and Fresno State, but they never saw a defense like that man has, Pete Carroll. And Dennis Erickson will walk over and give him a handshake of congratulations because the Trojans flat, brilliant defensively against